Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast number 182. I'm your host, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, along with Johnny V in our luxurious Johnny V basement studios.
It's feeling a little bit more cramped lately. I've got more stuff down here, and it needs to be cleaned out.
Am I cramping your style?
You're not cramping my style, Terry. You're doing fine. You're doing fine. I would never say that to someone who just took down an A-tier victory. You know, I'm honored. I'm honored to have you here.
Well, yes. So tonight I heard I'm going to be the featured guest. Okay, I'm not. I'm so not. Yes, so glad to be here. It was an awesome weekend. I'm going to immediately send a few shout-outs. I've got to thank Larry Laban and the entire Cases disc golf crew over in Kalamazoo. It's an event that I've gone to for, off and on for many, many years. It's been 20 full years since I started playing any events over at Colebrook. I actually had to look it up. 1998 was the first time I ever played an event at Colebrook Park, which I know so many people don't understand my love for that place, and they don't feel like it's a course that they would put on their list, but it's one that I love to play. I've had a lot of success and more so a lot of fun there. So thank you to Larry. Thank you to Kazoo. Thank you to Lance. We had a 16-year-old gentleman who caddied for one of my card mates, Eric. Eric, who was playing in a trophy-only situation. But Lance caddied and then spotted for 52 of the 54 holes out there. He skipped the first two where one disc was lost. So then at that point, we're like, nope, if you don't mind, why don't you walk on up there? So he spotted for 52 holes over the 2 days and caddied. So Lance, again, you saved us countless strokes. You saved us time. All of that frustration, all of those things. So thank you so much, Lance. I want to say again, thank you. I saw Luna Disc, Eric, who's worked with us before, and just so many great people over there. And I know Rusty was part of the crew, and I got to meet some new people. I got to meet Hootie, who I got to play with. He had a rough go around on Sunday morning. Keys locked out of the car, had to play with his girlfriend's bag. He had a few struggles, but I got to play with him, and I got to play with Sancho and Eric, as I said. So all around, awesome weekend. Great seeing great people, and lots of fun. So podcast 182 tonight, we're going to have a real big winner, way bigger than anything I could do. Robert the Hair McCall is going to be joining us tonight. You frequently hear and see him over at Disc Golf Answer Man, and as well as the team manager over at DD. We always ask him to give us the juicy gossip, which he never obliges, but he'll be joining us tonight. And, of course, we're going to get some updates from around the PDGA scene and beyond from one Danamite Danavici.
Do we want to clear up right away how dumb we are?
No. No, I don't.
We don't need to clear that up.
Now, dare I say, does this go back to the heated conversation that unfolded after the fact when we had Yuli on regarding the step putt last week?
It does.
You know what? I understand some people, I read the definition. I read the rule. I later then told everyone to go read the rule book for themselves, which I still stand by. That's always a good idea, even if I do or don't know what I'm talking about. But there was some criticism that was made because I read the rule directly as it applied to a stance, and then everyone said, well, yeah, but you didn't look at the definition of supporting point, and then when you go up further in the rule book by a few lines or paragraphs, supporting point is then classified. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to go ahead and say there's still a gray area about supporting point.
No, I don't think there is after reading it.
I do. I can understand where Yuli is saying touching a blade of grass, because supporting point and playing surface, which is another definition you need to look up, a blade of grass is not the playing surface.
Correct.
And that is part of this overall argument. And we're not going to beat this to death.
No, I'm not going to beat this to death. There's a big thread out there. Basically, we didn't define playing surface and supporting point. And from what I could see, supporting point basically, according to the PDGA, is any piece of your body that is touching the playing surface. And to them, the playing surface
is considered the ground.
The ground, or anything
attached to the ground.
Not attached to the ground. That's not the definition.
So I mean, Jeremiah is on the board. He's worked up. He said there's no gray area. If you are touching a blade of grass, it is part of the ground. And I would I would argue against that, and this isn't me and Yuli or anything like that. I would just generically argue against that and say, perfect example is when Yuli or anyone else would say, if I throw a disc, okay, let's take it a step further. Say, I throw a disc this weekend, and on my follow-through, my wrist goes right through a big, huge snowbank. That snowbank is on the ground. Is that part of the playing surface?
Let me read playing surface for you.
Okay.
Otherwise known as the lie. The lie is the... Here, I'll just read the playing surface. The playing surface is a surface, generally the ground, which is capable of supporting the player and from which a stance can reasonably be taken. So a blade of grass is not the playing surface. A loose pile of sticks is not the playing surface. When you move away those sticks, or once the sticks are set so you can rest your foot on them, that is a playing surface. A snowbank, you could argue that that's a little iffy there, depending on if the snow's fluffy snow and if you step on it, it squishes down. All I'm saying is that, A, I don't think Yuli's definition is right, but B, I don't think that he is also foot faulting. I think he's fine. I'm just saying that there was a big backlash against us for not being 100% accurate with all of our information, which we've never claimed to be.
No.
And so in general, I just wanted to get that out there right now that there's...
That's fine. We do know that this debate can rage on no matter where you stand, and even on the board, it can continue to rage on because we could all argue about what is the playing surface, what are supporting points, and things of that nature. I understand the perspective if someone like Yuli says, yes, I'm touching a blade of grass, then you want to argue or not if a blade of grass is in fact the playing surface. I don't think it is, and that's why I think Yuli's fine with that, because he's not, as far as I can tell, not hitting the ground. And as we know, you'd have to go frame by frame to find out when exactly it leaves his hand versus, what is the depth? Is it the last time you touch the disc? And this, I'm gonna fully released or whatever the question might be.
Anyway, we're gonna get Dana on pretty quick here. He's doesn't need to sit and listen to all of our garbage. Does he?
I don't know. Jeremiah says, "What? You guys are the Supreme Court of disc golf."
We like to believe we are. That should be
its own podcast, Supreme Court of disc golf. That would be a funny one.
I prefer the People's Court of disc golf.
Either way. Well, it sounds like we've got none other than our favorite red-bearded friend from Illinois. First, I'm going to thank Johnny Bigfoot along with Wes, who are both already super chatters tonight. We appreciate it. Let's welcome on Dana.
Boom goes the Danamite.
Hold on one second, Dana. I messed it up.
Danamite. Hang on. Danamite's in our virtual green room. We can see him. He can hear us. And we'll get to him in just a moment. Johnny's got to make something else work.
I do. I just need to change one thing here. Every once in a while. There we go. Boom. Every once in a while, Skype, the system doesn't look at Skype, and I just have to do a quick refresh on it. But Dana, welcome back to the show. We missed you last week.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, dudes? Terry, Champ. They're calling you Champ again up there in Climax, Michigan.
There's probably a joke out there somewhere, but I guess I walked away a champion of that foursome.
Congratulations. Sounds like you guys had some interesting conversations last week. I am so sorry I missed out on that. I'm going to pass on that conversation, though, because I want to talk about this last weekend.
All right. What do you got?
Well, it's starting to feel like disc golf season here. We had an A-tier in Michigan. As we talked about, Terry did take down that big W in that Masters division. Men's side, 24 total players. The highest rated player did walk away with the victory, Tim Barham. won by 4 throws over Mike Conley. I heard it did get pretty close during that second round. Tim went in with a 3-stroke lead into the second round, and at one point Mike had it down to 1, and Tim decided to throw a 1 and get an ace. And from there he cruised to the 4th-row victory. But great shooting to Tim, Mike Conley. They both popped off some pretty solid rounds out there in the snow. Bart Kowaleski finished in 3rd place, and good friend Taylor Samala. Got to give him a shout out. He played some pretty solid golf, almost averaged 1,000 on the weekend. He finished in 4th place. There were no pro women, but again, Terry Miller, the disc golf guy, won Pro Masters A tier, and that is the 40 plus Pro Masters, even though you're not 40 yet. But congratulations again, Terry Miller.
I appreciate that.
You averaged over your rating too.
Winner.
Yeah.
You get a bonus? You get any bonuses?
I don't know. I was just thinking, like, I should probably start looking for sponsors. I mean, seriously, pulling down that massive victory out there on this super tight wooded course.
You probably have as many A-tier victories this year or master victories as any other player.
Yeah, because I think there's only been two or three A tiers. Yeah, I'm pretty much killing it. So now it was, thank you, Dana. It was fun. As I've said before, that course, as Dana knows, very technical. They added a few extra holes that were a little bit more open, but very technical course. And I think I would have finished just outside of the cash in the open division. It's just a lot of fun playing there, and anything can happen. You can, when you're off by 6 inches out there, you can turn a lot of 2s into 4s, and you can turn 3s into 5s. Lost disc.
5.
Yeah. So anything can happen. And then it was just such a pounding of snow. I think that was the biggest story for every competitor out there. Is 2 weeks ago, Larry hosted the AM weekend. I guess they had gorgeous weather. I don't know if it was in the 40s or 50s. They were probably dealing with mud more than anything. And then this weekend, just the onslaught of snow that came, and even from Saturday into Sunday, there was an extra like 3 or 4 inches of snow that came overnight. So they were very long. You know, the pedometer said I may have done like 6 miles or 7 miles on the day, and I'm like, easily it felt like twice as much because you were just trudging through so much snow. It was light, but you were, being the second group of the day to go out each day, there weren't a lot of tracks to walk through other people. So
everybody else appreciated you, though.
Playing in the snow. That's the way you want it. Tell us, before we move on, I want to make sure the spotlight stays on you here as long as possible.
This might be, someone said, I was talking to Robert McCall, this might be the last sanctioned tournament I play of 2018. So that's kind of funny.
So what was your go-to disc off the tee?
Do it in the bag for us, Terry.
Yeah, no. It was primarily a couple of Ontario rocks, which is probably no surprise to anyone that knows me pretty well. And honestly, I pulled out a first-run Star Mako that I had whenever they came out many, many years ago. And for whatever reason, I pulled that out right before I went to Arizona. I brought that along to this weekend, and I found myself throwing it, and I found myself yelling at it too many times, like, quit going so damn straight. Like, I needed a little finish right or left to it, and it went so damn straight every single time. So those were probably my go-tos, and the putter didn't warm up until the second day. So
I hear I sense it. He's shooting for that Innova sponsorship.
No. I want to be very clear. I have truthfully, I've been honored to be part of Innova at one time, part of Discraft, part of Legacy. I've been honored to be parts of all those teams. I have no objection to throwing any disc at any point right now, which also feels good, but I never get to play, so I guess it doesn't really matter that much.
Okay.
You got a spot on your team? What, Discmania? Do I have to talk to Simon about that?
Simon, yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Simon can get you initiated in.
The only way you get on the team is if you go over to Sweden, spend like 2 weeks on a mountaintop.
Working out, okay.
Working out.
Nothing but vegan food.
Nothing but vegan food. And for some reason, I think you need to balance on one of those balls for at least like 36 seconds.
Dang it.
I don't know if you can do that.
That is some pretty next level stuff, though.
It is.
Going over there for their 4 weeks, for full month of training. That's going to be interesting to see how that shapes their season. Definitely going to put them, I'm sure, in some of the best shape of their lives. I think Simon is not playing this weekend. His first event is in Vegas. Eagle is playing at the Wintertime Open. I'm going to talk about the winter, even though it's next weekend. I'm going to talk about that shortly. But let's talk about a couple more events from this last weekend. I know we got a big guest coming up behind me. I don't want to stay on too long and upset Mr. McCall. But down in Florida, I bet the sun was shining down there. Orlando, Florida, the Barnett Park Championships went down, and Young Vinny, a.k.a. Calvin Heimberg, popped off a little 10:56 rated first round and cruised to the 3-throw victory with another stellar second round over Colin Forehand. Colin's had a pretty good start to the season. He's seen that rating slowly creep up towards 1,000. He's 997 right now. I would not be surprised to see him hit that 4-digit at this next update, because he has played some really solid golf here. So maybe this is the turning point for young Colin. On the Open women's side, there was a division, and there was 4 ladies playing. Sandy Gast held off Pam Renicky, and Brittany Blair, BB, came out, finished in 3rd place. So nice to see her name on the list. Used to tour there for a few years, but she's now down in Florida working and living.
Yeah, I think she had made mention that it had been something like a year and a half since she had really played any tournaments. I know she works really hard down there in the pharmaceutical area, and she said she was excited to get out and play. She didn't play her best on her first day, but got settled in on Sunday, and hopefully we'll see more of her out on the course and playing some more. It would be great to see. Team Legacy player, and yeah, it would just be great to see her out there playing more, because she was one of those pros that was up and coming, and then she took on the real world responsibilities of like a stable job and stuff. And
it's overrated.
Hopefully we'll see some more of her.
Yeah. Nice to see your name on the list. Kind of a pleasant surprise there. Over in North Carolina, the 17th annual Buckhorn Open. Very, very wooded course. Very fun course. Couple water shots along the water, over some water, but for the most part, if you are throwing the disc straight, you're going to score pretty well. And that had to be what Chris Dickerson did, because he just killed it. Over 4 rounds, he went 1038, 1072, 1044, 1054. That's really good.
Those are some winning scores no matter where you are.
Yeah,
no matter who you're playing.
Yeah, if you're at an NT and you shoot, aside from maybe the Memorial, if you shoot those scores, you're likely winning or going to be up there at least in the top couple spots. But Chris keeping the pedal to the metal there all weekend and got himself a nice little victory. Boy, I don't even want to do the math, but Nathan Queen finished in 2nd place. And then third place was like nearly 30 strokes behind. Oh man. Winning the women's side, there's only one player, but Erin Snap from Newport News, Virginia, went and played and got herself the win. And on the Masters side, Kenneth Tyberski got himself a victory. He played really well too, winning by 15 throws over Brian McRae.
Well, and I just want to point out real quick about Erin Snap. Her final round, she's a 869 rated player. She shot a 911, so she shot 50 just about 42 points over her rating. So that's some work getting done right there. That's going to help out a little bit there.
Yeah, that's gotta feel good. Popping a good one off right there. I think I played the Buckhorn Open in 2007. Fun course, well ran event. There were some other events, a couple notable ones in Texas, but with that big guest I alluded to earlier, I think I don't want to really steal his thunder and talk about it, but yeah, what else is going on, boys?
You said you wanted to talk about the 40th annual Wintertime Open.
Yes.
Do you think, as the question is out on a couple of the web boards, do you think Macbeth is going to 8-peat?
It's really going to be 8 in a row.
I think that's what someone said. It's going to be 8 in a row if he wins this.
Well, I don't know if there's been a more stacked field in the last 8 years than there is this year. I'll start at the top and read off these names: Paul Macbeth, Josh Anthon, Eagle McMahon, Bobby Music, Philo, Nick Wood, Steve Rico, AJ Risley, Kyle Ekman, Austin Hannum, Kevin Jones, Nick Newton. Those are all the 1,000 rated players. Then we got Double G, who's signed up. And I actually, I don't know if you guys have talked a whole lot about this, but Garrett Gurthey, Double G, he's on tour.
Mm-hmm.
He is he's out there for the 40th annual Wintertime Open, and it looks like he is on tour all the way through Nick Hyde at least. So it's been a few years since we've seen him out and about. I think one of the last times he might have been with him and Big Germ were touring one year. What was the name of their tour, Terry? The Long Throw something long.
I would have called it Pinky in the Brain, but
yeah, I'm not
Laurel and Hardy.
But anyways, this is definitely something to look out for those of you that haven't really been paying attention. Garrett Gurthey, he's been a world-class player for a really long time. He's still
20
really
years.
Young, extremely talented. This is pretty exciting for the tour to see him back out there. And on top of being a awesome world-class player, he's a really good dude. So good for the tour, and I'm excited to see him out there. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how long it takes for him to pick up his old form.
Yeah, I've seen a few posts from him, a few references, or people asking him kind of what's going on. It sounds like he's officially sponsored by New World, the disc golf complex that we saw, of course, for the Pro Tour finale and the one we'll see again this year. And it sounds like he's going to be on the road with Jessica Weiss, he's going to be traveling with her for the most part, it looks like. And I know there's been talks of some kind of RV or van. I think at one point she was looking into some kind of RV setup. And then someone had said, well, what about your sponsorship in terms of who you're going to, plastic and whatnot? And if I recall, he said something along the lines of, he's got an open bag. I mean, we've seen him, for a while. He was, of course, sponsored. He was, I think, originally sponsored by Gateway.
Yeah.
Way back in the day. And then he was with Innova, and Prodigy came along. He was one of the early Prodigy pickups there. Mm-hmm. And then we briefly saw him with Latitude, did we not?
Yes, we did.
The last time he was, seriously playing and sponsored. So those are, he's had a good mixture. He's been able to test out a lot of things. But as you said, we haven't seen him actually on the tour in a serious, grind, so to speak, in a few years. So it'll be interesting to see him back out there. And if you're not rooting for Double G, I'm not sure what kind of evil is in your heart because, as you said, he's a world-class guy. He's fun to be around. He's really sweet and genuine, and then watching him just crush a disc a mile, I don't think we could ever name another individual that can opposite-handed grab a disc and throw it over and clear the lake at Winthrop as he did a number of years ago, opposite-handed. And he's also thrown AVRs or putters over the lake at Winthrop during the big King Masher contest the skills that he has are just they're unmatched by so many, or by really anyone.
And I think one thing that a lot of people, myself included, are going to be excited to see is you hear, you always wonder what a elite level pro is going to throw in an open bag. We see Nico with the open bag, although it's sometimes hard to tell what he's thrown. But Double G, being sponsored by New World, is able to throw whatever he wants. So that's always kind of fun to take a look in the bag and see what discs from what companies are in there, and we'll see how long it lasts, if it lasts without a manufacturer sponsor, because I got to imagine someone's gonna want to pick him up.
Assuming he starts playing up to what we think he's capable of, which is over 1,000 rated. He's just under it right now, I believe, but if he starts playing at 1,005, 1,007 level pretty quickly, I have a feeling you're going to see him get snagged up by somebody, just based on potential, if he wants to.
We don't know what his deal is with New World. So yeah, maybe he's got a solid deal from them, but that's nice of them to sponsor him and let him throw the open bag, throw whatever he wants. Pretty cool stuff. So with that said, yeah, Wintertime Open stacked. We've seen Philo. It's his birthday. I think today's his birthday. He talked about celebrating it twice, doing some time traveling from the Philippines. AJ Risley, he's got his new. I think this will be his first tournament with his new bag. Last year, this was kind of his coming out party. He at the start of his season really set him the wheels in motion for him hitting that 1,000 rated mark. He's up to 1,008 now. The boss man, Steve Rico.
He won't show up.
Looked like last turn I saw him play the Shark Tooth Open. I watched the video from Central Coast, and they kept alluding that he was hurt. So hopefully he's healthy and motivated, and as you said, shows up. But Bobby Music, Eagle McMahon. This is a lot of excitement for a little old B tier.
Yeah, and it being that it's 40th annual event, and I believe John Tompkins over at Supreme Flight, I think he's going to be taking over the reins as the TD coming next year. So it's kind of this passing of the guard, and I know Central Coast obviously is going to be there. That's right in their backyard of getting the coverage. So it should be really good. Danny, can you think of another event, or you, Johnny, can you think of another event? I guess except for Climo's 9 in a row at Worlds. But can you think of an event that has been dominated by one individual for so many consecutive years?
I don't know. Maybe doesn't KJ Nybo, maybe the Danish championships,
something like that. Okay,
he's got that on lockdown. But here stateside, oh man, that's tough. That's tough to say. I'm sure there's some events that what's his name out in Oregon? Scott Withers.
Sure.
I'm sure there's some events that he just completely has dominated over the since Sexton moved.
But I would follow that up and think of a little outside the box of there's probably an event that Schwebe has won 14 years in a row, or that a Mike Mosier, with all of his, hundreds of victories.
Brinster.
Or a Steve Brinster. I know for a while he had a good run at Philly, and, Barry Schultz, exactly, or Johnny McRae. One of those guys has won some event, 12 consecutive years. I'd love to see if somebody on the board could give us one specific one, though, in a row.
The board's talking Dietrich at Rocky Mountain, Brinster at Warwick.
Yep.
Someone saying Birdie Boys Disc Golf says the last 10 years. I definitely believe that. So we've got Johnny at the Southwest Open might be one, but this is a big one for Macbeth. He doesn't count it as a win if you don't win it back-to-back years, and so
or back-to-back.
If you can't 8P, you ain't.
Yeah.
Well, what have you done for me lately?
don't mean nothing if you can't win it 8 times in a row. So
now, do you kind of feel like, and we won't harp on this too much, but do you kind of feel like the Wintertime Open is going to take over for what the Gentlemen's Club, or the Las Vegas, what it's called now, was? We used to have the Las Vegas was really the big warm up for the tour. Now the Las Vegas is part of the tour. It is your opening event. All these guys maybe somewhere nearby, was it Altadena, California, are going to start showing up to the Wintertime Open to kind of get that first event in to knock the rust off before they go to the Gentlemen's Club?
Quite possibly. I think there's also the event. There's an event in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, the Fade Station Open, run by Marcos Castillo. That's Jojo Baca. But I know that Kale LaVisca is using that as his opener, and he's done that over the last few seasons. But one thing to watch out for there, if Kale wins, that will be his 100th victory. So something to keep an eye out. He is the highest rated player at that event, next to Paul Oman. Kale's rating's up to 1036. He's getting close to that 1040 mark. I'm not sure if he's ever hit that, but 100 win club. It's in his sights. So something to keep an eye out for. But he's hitting the road, I think, tomorrow for that, and then we'll be playing Vegas and Disc Golf Pro Tour opener at the Memorial. So maybe he can get a couple wins here.
There's a very good chance of that. Because Kale is, he's overshadowed so much because he travels less than a lot of the other guys, but hands down, one of the sport's best players.
Yeah, most definitely.
And one of our least frequented visitors here on SmashBoxxTV.
Why is that?
Because he needs to show up.
Kale's a wonderful human being. He's one of my favorite players in the world.
He's a free spirit.
I love to chat with him. He is not what you would call reliable?
Punctual.
No, because it's not like he shows up late. He just doesn't show up. He's a little flaky at times, and that's part of his free spirit. And
it is, and we love him.
And we do love Kale.
We don't need any hate mail, and yes, we love you, Kale.
Give him a hard time.
But we've just learned that sometimes it's tough to pin him down and to get him.
Oh, someone just pinned him down.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, he did. I just think back to a couple years ago. We were going to do a live podcast at the Memorial. It was one of the first years we were going to do it, so it's probably 2014. And I said, okay, you're going to be on the show. He's like, yep, we're at Duke's at the time. We were there. And I said, we're going to be on the show. It's in like 45 minutes. He's like, okay, I got to run somewhere. I'll be right back. He never came back. So we love Kale.
Take a hint.
And it's not me, it's you. But good old Kale. So yeah, we'd love to see him at more events.
Yeah, keep an eye out. If you see him hit that 100th victory, make sure you give him a shout out on Facebook. Congratulate him. It's a pretty cool thing to do, and hopefully he gets there.
And even Jordan Castro, a fellow Minnesotan, says typical Kale. So Dana, the last question for you. I released a video tonight. It's some bonus footage from 2017 Hall of Fame, featuring the likes of Yale Storr, Simon Lizotte, and Big Germ, Jeremy Colling, the last 3 gentlemen to sign up for the tournament. They were all thrown on the last card together. Cam Colglazer was supposed to be there. He signed up one day and then like the next day withdrew. So my question to you is Big Germ's getting a little heat on the boards right away. In the first 2 minutes of the video, I say, hey, Big Germ, what are some of your pro tips for being a caddy? He's got a gracious caddy along with him that's got his bag, and Big Germ comes back with something along the lines of show up, what you've done, shut up, and show up, keep up, and shut up. And I think some people have taken that a little too harshly, or maybe taken that to heart. What are your pro tips for a caddy? Can you word it any more eloquently, maybe?
It's funny you asked that, because one of the worst caddies I ever had was
Big Germ.
In fact, Big Germ. It was the year of the perf, one of the perf years at the USDGC. And I went down and played, and I was on the lead card, final round. And Germ hits me up the night before, like, hey, let me caddy for you. Like, fuck, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. As I'm walking down hole 1 after throwing my bad tee shot, I don't have a caddy anywhere in sight, and then here comes Germ late, and then of course he talked and talked, and then I don't think he ended the round with me. I think I lost him around hole 12 or 13. So those are things you don't do. But yeah, I think being a caddy, it's important to just ask your player what is expected of them, because everybody has different expectations. But there are some things that all caddies should abide by, and that's not really inserting yourself into the round. What that's saying, I did this during my round, or you should do that, or whatever it is. If they're looking for a disc, help look for the disc and say, hey, I think it kicked off that, but don't say
the occasional nice shot, but don't, if a player is having a bad round or a bad shot, no reason to bring it up. Usually just be positive is my thought.
Yeah, and it's nice to cheer on who you're caddying for, but not be too over the top on it, because there are other players on the card and you are representing that player, so you want to be respectful of everybody. But yeah, I'd say talking with your player that you're caddying for beforehand, and seeing what they want out of you, and don't get upset if they say, hey, I prefer don't talk to me.
Again,
and wear deodorant. I think that's a good one too.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one right there.
I just think as he said it, he was very blunt and very frank about it, and I think some people have maybe taken that bluntness as disrespectful, and I don't, Big Germ wasn't trying to do that. He knew I was even recording him and everything, and it just, his request is just relatively straightforward.
Yeah, and
Show
I think
up,
that's
keep up, and shut up, and he could have more politely said, well, don't talk too much, but he was just trying to get a point across.
No, it's the alliteration, obviously, he's going for. But let me put it this way. If you're caddying for Big Germ, the odds of you being able to shut up are minimal, because he's probably going to talk your ear off.
Well, it's funny that it sounds like some of his own advice is what he should have taken when he was caddying for you there. It didn't sound like he really fulfilled any of those for you, Dana.
No, he didn't. But Mr. Chasing the Bees out on the board caddied for me at Vibram. He was a very, very good caddy. One of the best dressed caddies I've seen. He also takes a bunch of cool pictures, and writes some sweet poetry. So if you're not following him on Instagram, you definitely should. Chasing the Bees. But that's another fun thing. If you're a caddy, maybe shoot a little bit of video, take some pictures, and if your person you're caddying for, whether it's a friend or a pro, makes a nice shot, then you've got the video to show them afterwards, and yeah, you could really maybe you can get a tip even.
And it's funny, I'll follow that up. Specifically, I know that Paul Ulibarri, one of our other consistent contributors here, I've offered to hand his caddy, who's a fellow Wisconsinite, Alan Stewart. I've offered to hand Alan a camera of sorts, because obviously Paul's on a lot of great cards, and I may have an extra camera from time to time. And I offered, and Paul has politely declined and said, no, I want my caddy focused on what he's doing with me, and I would prefer he doesn't work a camera or do any of those extracurriculars. So as you're saying, the real takeaway here is be upfront, ask the caddy ask the player what is or isn't expected of them, and try and fit within those rules or guidelines and considerations. So it's kind of funny that what some people think is so obvious or maybe even take for granted, it may be particular to a player. And you look at a Nate Doss. I'll use him as another good example. You rarely see him with a caddy. He's had very few. You think of a few really close friends, Jeff Spring, and only a couple other people come to mind. Nate Doss doesn't just let anyone pick up his bag and caddy for him.
I think I ruined that. I caddied for him once, and I just hugged him after every shot. It was he didn't after that.
Yay, Nate!
way to go!
I don't like my caddies to look me in the eye either when they talk to me.
You're gonna get in trouble here. Like Big Germ has.
Important to me. Don't look at me.
Always refer to me as sir.
Uh-huh.
You know, there's a couple rules I have.
Yeah.
All right, Dana.
All right, buddy. Well, we do appreciate it. And thank you for all your insights here tonight. Looking forward to next week. As you said, that'll be the eve of, or the few days leading into the big event you just mentioned, talking about the wintertime. And our season is that much closer to being officially kicked off. And a little later in the show, we'll talk a little bit about fantasy disc golf, what that means for all of the fans out there and individual league organizers and everyone else. So if you're not geared up and excited, I don't know what you're doing. You're not doing it right. Yeah.
Yeah.
On board.
Now, will you guys are not going to be in Vegas, correct? No live.
Correct. No live.
That's unfortunate, but you will be live at Memorial.
That is correct.
And podcast, like, I know we're looking a little further ahead than I normally look, but are you going to be doing some nightly podcasts?
That's to be determined. Probably there'll be something that will go down. I'm not sure how that's going to unfold just yet. There's going to be a few different roles and responsibilities going on with the Pro Tour stop. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm sure we'll figure something out. It may not be every night or, I'm not sure what the schedule is going to be, but we'll get it figured out.
Cool. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, Terry, for getting out that bonus coverage. Central Coast 2's been tiding us over with some of their older coverage. So we're about ready to get that fresh stuff coming out. I am excited. And can you guys, is Robert in studio with you? Can you get an autograph for me?
No, not yet. But we'll get you some hair follicles if he lets any of them out of his possession.
All right. Hey, big congrats to Robert. I know we usually I give the big hug out for a bad break, but I'm giving you a big hug for that big victory. I'll see you guys next week.
All right, buddy.
Thanks,
Take care.
Dana.
Have a good night, Dana. And as we said, our regular contributor, Danamite, Dana Vici, giving us some action. A few recaps from around the country. And as he said, we're just days away from some serious disc golf going down. And, of course, sanctioned events year-round, every weekend. We got that. But you're talking about the big-time events with all of our biggest players. Massive.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like, it's here. Like, it felt like it took so long. Like, and granted, I'm getting old and time seems to go a lot faster these days, but we've got everything in front of us now for the 2018 season. You know, we've got the awesome warm-up, the wintertime, and then we roll right into NTs and Pro Tours. You can't ask for a better start to the season.
Yeah, I know Steve Dodge, for instance, from the Disc Golf Pro Tour. He was out there doing a live Google Hangout of sorts. I think he did 2 of them today at 2 different times. And I think the gist of it, and I truly don't know this time because I wasn't on top of everything, but I think the gist of it was talking about how live scoring will go down. And I think there's going to be a little bit more onus on the actual players to try to help out with the stats and the live scoring that's taking place on UDisc this year. And then to follow that up, we're going to be talking with UDisc, I believe next week probably, or the week after. We're going to have them on, and they're going to talk about how they're becoming more integrated into some of these larger events that are outside of the Pro Tour. So we've gotten really spoiled over these last 2 years. When you go to these Pro Tour events, you're seeing all these live, real-time live stats. And then you go to some of the other events or all the other events that aren't the Pro Tour events, and you're like, oh, man, I really missed some of those extra features, some of those extra details. And now they've worked things out that they're going to be more integrated, like I said, with the with the PDGA and the rest of the national tour, and I think Worlds and a few other majors. So yeah, it'll be great. So we're going to have the guys on from UDisc probably sometime in the next week or two. But for now, the only guy that matters is our champion from this weekend, just getting disc golf rich left and right, Robert McCall. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
He's busy.
Doing well. I had my headphones and microphone ready and everything, and then now it's not working. So
we can hear you, and if you can hear us, then we're all good to go.
And I'm going to say this. Maybe it's just you, but you have some of the best light any of our guests have ever had.
Well, Well, I'm going to let you on an industry secret. Last time I was on the show, we had some difficulty with how dark it was in here. Grabbed one of the disc golf answer man lights in preparation for today.
Wow.
Thank you.
If
Thank you.
only
Bravo.
everyone could be as prepared and as good looking as you.
Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's honestly, it only
Shay
came
is
because the first
Shay's a
time I
very
was
lucky
over-
woman. Shay is a very lucky woman.
She's sitting next to me on the couch. We're watching the Olympics together.
What are you
But,
watching right now? What Olympic sport are you watching?
Well, it's here's her hand. We're watching. It's ice skating right now, but it was snowboarding just a minute ago.
Okay. Shaun White making big news. Well, that's not even news, is it? Isn't he always just good?
No, he had a problem at Sochi last year where he performed well at the beginning and then basically failed off at the end because the half pipe was cruddy. But the big talk this year is Chloe Kim. She's she put up the gold last night, I believe it was. I got my kid out of bed. He was reading in bed at like 8:45, and he couldnn't name an athlete in almost any other sport other than maybe football, a Packer. But he was really excited for Chloe Kim because he read this article on her at school. So he watched everything, and he came up. He's like, "Oh, she's gonna rate. Oh, this is great. This is like just a victory lap for her because she's already won the." I'm like, "Oh my god! Like, we're gonna go snowboarding apparently pretty soon." So
Wow.
who knew?
So, was there any? How was the weather? Where were you this weekend? And well, break it down for us. How was the weather where you were at?
Sure. So we live in Kansas now, and it has been significantly colder here than anything we have ever been used to or prepared for. I know that's surprising. Yeah, it's during this winter we've had several negative digit days and single digit days, and those hurt. And so we were going down to Texas. Usually the weather is nicer in Texas, and we got down. We practiced. I rode down with Eric McCabe and Denise Cameron, both of whom were registered to play both of the events, and got down there on Friday. The weather was nice, 55. Something
You
like
were
that.
wearing shorts.
I had joggers on because that's my new preferred leg wear.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a revolution. But yeah, it was nice. It was really beautiful outside. And then we knew the next day was supposed to start in the 50s and then get into the 40s. And on Saturday instead, it started in the 40s and got into the 30s. And it was pretty cold and pretty windy. That obviously hurts it too. So that was the weather that day. And then on Sunday, we played at Town Lake in McKinney, and that was much worse. 25 in the morning. With some, what do they call it, wintry mix. It was like half rain, half sleet. That hurt. And it warmed up a little in the afternoon, but it was still only 32, 34, somewhere in there.
So, yeah, we could summarize that and say just, generally unpleasant.
You're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you go down there, you play, and let's break down. You're talking about two separate events over the 2 days. To some people, first of all, that blows people's minds. Like, what? There's an event 2 separate days in kind of the same area, 2 different events on 2 separate days, as opposed to like a 4-round B tier. What were you going down to compete in?
Well, welcome to Texas, where they have lots of tournaments in DFW all the time. That's kind of what they're known for. And the D.D. Carrollton guys, Steve O'Story and Bradley Crow and all those guys. Run a whole lot of events during the year, and they love doing the one-day events. It gives people the flexibility to come and play 2 rounds, get a rating if they want, and then they can go home the next day, or they can stick around and play as if it was a 4-round tournament, and they get a fresh start at it. So I love getting to play those. Those were I played when I was working at the church. I hardly ever got to play on Sunday, and so I thrived on their Saturday one-day events. I'd go up on Friday and come back down Saturday night so that we could be ready for church on Sunday. But yeah, it's great. I love getting to see those guys and hang out with them for sure.
Now, you and I had spoke a little bit earlier this morning. We exchanged just a few messages, but I had said in talking about playing, I mentioned a few minutes ago, this may be literally the last sanctioned event I get to play in 2018 with how crazy my schedule gets. Your schedule and your traveling is like neck and neck with what I'm going to be doing. You have a different role, but you're going to be pretty busy this year as well. What's all on the agenda?
We are headed out to the memorial. We're going to take the new RV out there, and the new RV is awesome. It's really super cool, really nice on the inside. But we were planning on flying to the memorial, and so when I was told that we were driving, I wouldn't say I was as excited about it because it's going to take a while. But we'll leave on Sunday before the memorial, get out there, hang out with our players, do some video stuff, some media stuff, and then we'll come back probably the Sunday or Monday after the event. My travel schedule isn't quite as crazy as yours. I probably won't be at another event for a little bit. We may go down to Waco, but our next big focus at that point will be the GBO end of April.
Now, what exactly, and I know we've kind of talked about it in the past, but let's recap it. What are some of your primary roles and functions when you're going to some of these big events? And tell everybody what your title is.
Sure. So at Dynamic Discs, I'm the team manager. So that means I take care of our sponsored players. As of recently, when Dynamic Discs and Latitude jointly purchased Westside Discs, I've taken over the management of their sponsored team as well. And so what that means is that I am in constant communication with our players, making sure that they have what they need and that they're upholding their end of their responsibilities as well as we're upholding our responsibilities too. Yeah, that's a whole lot of what I do. I search out new players to be on the team. I respond to submissions through our website for people who want to be on the team. By the way, if you won an A tier recently, no better time than now to apply. So
I was thinking about holding out for more money and other offers, but if you're,
Yeah, it's not coming from SmashBoxx, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that is true. I do have an A tier under my belt.
That's right, and I don't have any A tiers. So I mean, you're way out ahead.
Yeah,
I know.
Eric McCabe doesn't even have an A tier Masters win.
I know.
I would look at his contract. I'll just take over his contract. How about that?
I think you'd be pleased with that. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I have a world title, 2008 Glow World Champion. Also from Kalamazoo at Colebrook, actually, now that I think about it.
Speed putting world champion.
Speed putting? Yeah. I don't know. It's been nice knowing you, McCabe.
That's right.
We're going to get a little thicker silhouette put on some of those EMAC truths.
Got a new face of the EMAC truth. We got the T-Mac truth or something.
There you go. I like it. I like the ring of that. Signature Series disc. All right. I can get used to this. All right. So you're going to be doing that. Now, one of my questions, and I think about it in terms of disc, but now this definitely applies to you. When you're looking at players, are you at all conflicted or torn when you're thinking about, okay, that would be a fit for a West Side player as opposed to a fit for a DD player? There's got to be a little internal conflict there.
Sure. I think for us, a big part of it right now is just where they fall geographically. If we have representation in that area from Dynamic Discs, but we think, man, this would be a really great player to represent our brands, then we'll have them on Westside Discs or vice versa. And we've only really had that for a couple of months, and so we haven't run into that a whole lot. But yeah, that's for the most part, I don't foresee it being a huge conflict. The teams kind of have a little bit different personalities, and that it's kind of hard to explain unless you've spent time with them. But just across the board, fantastic individuals. I've really liked getting to know the West Side people that I've gotten to know, and I'm looking forward to seeing them more out on tour and at tournaments and things like that this year.
Well, I think of just a weekend or a couple weekends ago now, I've seen Preston Johnson a couple times out in Arizona, and just an all-around stand-up guy, great individual. Love seeing him out there, and I know he's done some stuff with the team. And is there any guidelines that you would like to share with everyone when it comes to whether it's wow, I'm having a hard time tonight. Whether it's a Team DD perspective or prospect versus a West Side, is there any kind of general statements you want to throw out? And if somebody's at home thinking, wow, maybe I should be applying, or I wonder if I'm a good fit.
Sure. That's a really good question. And I get that question a lot because people who apply to the website, through the website, a lot of times aren't quite ready to be sponsored. And they don't know that at the time. They just think it would be cool to have free things and support from a company that I really like a lot. And so for the people who are looking to get sponsored, I would say the biggest things that you can do, obviously there's the tournament side. If you're trying to come on specifically as a player, it's really good to have, a rating that's up there a little bit higher, have some good tournament wins under your belt, some good finishes, and then kind of going along with those things, a referral or two from people on the team who know you and who could say, I know the team, this person would be a good fit for the team. Referrals to me are really, really huge. So that's one aspect of it. But then for Team DD and Team West Side specifically, I'm really concerned, and I think Rusko would echo the sentiment based on the other team that he's put together, is that we care a lot about how the person is, what kind of person they are, rather than if they're just good at disc golf. There are lots of people who are very good at disc golf who I wouldn't really want to have on Team Dynamic Disc because of how they carry themselves. And that's their prerogative. They can do what they want to, but that won't be a player that we will probably sponsor. And so that's something we take into consideration as well. And then people who are doing big things in their communities, in their local scenes, if they're, I don't know, let's say they created like a disc golf curriculum for an elementary school, and then they're pushing it out to other, like things like that. We love seeing things like that kind of help grow the sport. So those are things that I'd recommend to people if they're interested in being on the team. And the hardest part about sponsorships in general is that there are a lot more people who would be qualified to be a sponsored player than there are sponsorships available, like through our company, you know. Sometimes it just comes down to we already have a sponsored player in your area and we need to expand into other places first. It's just things like that. It's really, really tough. And some of it's about being at the right place at the right time.
Exactly. I think I could see how all of those factors could come into play there.
We've talked to Robert a lot about this stuff. I want to hear about his weekend win.
Oh my gosh.
More than anything.
Oh
the names
my
the names that Robert just put on his SmackDown list. Let me go through a few of them. Coda Hatfield. Psh.
Whatevs.
I've beaten Coda once or twice before, but not a lot. He's beaten me a whole lot of times.
He is a Texas. What's the term you would use?
He's
legend?
an Oklahoma guy.
Oklahoma,
or in Texas area. I'm sorry,
Sure.
from Oklahoma, but he tends to win a lot of Texas events. If Bradley's not winning,
Yeah.
Johnny McCrae. Psh, whatever.
I have not beaten Johnny before.
All right. Marshall Blanks.
Yep.
Miles Seaborn. Psh,
Yep.
he's on your list now.
More like see you later.
John Harrison.
Yep.
And the ace himself from the GBO, Billy Engel.
Yeah.
Psh, these guys are all people that now you can just, like, I got you on my list. So
Man,
what?
I'm glad you do it that way.
We used to refer to it as a B list.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm being nice here.
A
So
beat list.
what type of course? What was your go-to discs? You know, give us a little bit of breakdown
Who
about
did you
their
make cry?
Yeah.
Give us the details.
Did Coda cry? Let's be honest, because he looks like a
Yes.
crier.
Definitely, yeah. He's not like a really cool dude who's like soft spoken and really good at disc golf. He's a big time crier.
Yeah.
Super emotional guy.
Assumed as
Whiner.
much.
You've got a perfect read on him.
Yeah, and because you averaged about 10-18 this weekend, if you figure right around there.
Yeah. So these courses are both pretty wooded, especially for Texas. I wouldn't say, they're. I'm sure people are going to get on here who have played them and say, "Oh, that's nothing compared to this place." Well, yeah, okay, but they're relatively wooded. Coyote is the first course that we played, and I'd say 14 of the 18 holes play in relatively tight woods, and the others, maybe 13, but the others are still shaped by some trees, not just a wide open, easy little shot. That was our first round. I played pretty well that round, made a couple of putts through like some bushes or branches that, I don't know, they're just framed up nicely and you don't really expect to make, but just happen to hit them that time. And so that round was a 51. That put me one shot off the lead in open. I was behind Miles by one. And then we went over to the Beaver course. Beaver is a little bit more open for the first 8 holes. Then it goes back into the woods for the next 6 or so. And then 16, 17, 18 finish in a little bit more open. And so so you need a good mix of shots out there. And it's really important to stay out of the woods, out of trouble, because that's where you get big numbers. I took 3 4s on the weekend. 2 of them were on par 4s. One of them was on a hole that's like kind of a par 4. If I get a 3, I'm happy every single time. I threw 1 bad patent pending shot on it. And so that's how I got the 4. And I threw a crap ton of patent pending shots this weekend.
That's usually not good. I mean, anytime you're straddled out or your back's to the basket, normally for me that means I'm probably having a bad round, but
yeah. It just have there are just a lot of holes that are that 3 is a good score. And if your drive puts you in a tough spot, I just use that to get up and down a whole lot, and just kind of just flick your wrist and let the putter do the work for you. So I was probably like 7 for 8 on patent pendings that round. So it was good, man.
Yeah. So now you played back-to-back days, as we said, the 2 separate tournaments.
Right.
Was there any feeling of one day? I mean, did you play similar the 2 days? One day versus the other. How were you?
I believe you took 3rd the next day. Is that correct?
Right.
Yeah, it was the next day, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You were probably just completely hungover, or what was the problem the next day? Where was the follow-up?
That's right. And you guys know me pretty well. I got very
raging.
Hammered.
Yeah, raging.
Yeah.
Raging party.
Raging Robert. That's really that's what everyone calls him around the office.
Yep, you probably went and got a haircut to celebrate and then went out. And that was just like, yeah.
That's actually probably closer to accurate than the Rager. I took my 500 disc golf rich dollars and just got hammered. No, the next day, like I said, it was at Town Lake and McKinney. Same course, both rounds. Short tees first round, long tees second. And that course also plays through some pretty thick woods in places. And the thing that I did well this whole weekend is I threw the disc really, really well. I putted okay. Missed at Town Lake. I think I missed 4 that I should make, from 20 to 30. Ones that I either just pushed a little bit right or left a little short. And I ended up losing by 4, so that hurts. But I made a couple bonus putts, in the second round, probably a 55-footer and a 45-footer, little step-through ones. But for the most part, I just threw the disc well and also stayed out of trouble. The first round, I had a difficult time from 35. I probably had 5 to 6 putts from 35 and just couldn't get the feel of them. I just didn't have those very good. So that ended up being a 978 rated round. Not very good. And then second round, I was lucky. When y'all were talking about caddies earlier, I was laughing. I was lucky to have 4-time world champion Paige Pierce on the bag for the second round. Yeah.
Now, the problem I would have with that is, like, when you step up to a tee pad and throw, you have to know she's laughing at you behind your back. Like,
yes,
because she knows she would outdrive you.
Because she knows she'd outdrive you and probably
100%.
throw it better.
Yep, you are not wrong.
And knowing Paige and you, she might say that out loud.
Yeah. You know what? She was really nice this time. She didn't let me hear about that, but I know that's what she was thinking. Like, we always go back and forth on stuff like that. We joke about racing to 1,000, who's going to get to 1,000 first. And when I told her about what the rounds were rated the day before, she said she was happy for me, but she also, let out some frustration because I got a little leg up in the competition right now.
Yeah, I'm looking at your rating history right now, and you've going back to like February of 2017. You've got some 965s and 967, a 1032, which is included. So those are all going to drop off. I don't know if you're going to make a big move or not, or if you're just going to. It looks like you might just take a small step one direction or the other. It's hard to tell right now, depending on which way you could go. it looks like you
Yeah.
you may go up a point or two if
Right.
you assuming you don't play any more events.
Right. So this is what I figured I would need to do at the beginning of this year to make it happen. Is I knew that those events at the beginning of last year were just okay, not great, but fine. And if I could cover those up with events kind of like these two from this weekend, maybe I'd have a shot. Problem is, 2 weekends before I played the winter warm up in Louisville, and I threw the disc exceptionally poorly. I didn't putt well either, but it didn't matter because most of my putts were for 3 or 4 or something, and they were just
That's the worst when you are
it was so awful.
when you are putting when the basket looks bigger than it should, but it's never for birdie.
Nope.
I think anyone that's played for a while can understand that feeling.
It hurt. So basically, I needed these events to cover that up for the most part. But I've still got time this year. I had my best tournament last year was in June. I'm pretty sure it was in June. So if I can cover that up before that, get a couple of good events in March or April or something like that, maybe one good one in May, that might be enough to kick me over. But we'll see.
Okay.
Now, one of the segments we've had for the last few weeks, thanks to Dynamic Disc and thanks to the Marksman League, Winter League, is talking about all these people all around the country going out, thanks to UDisc as well, and partnering up with you guys to provide all these stats for the Marksman League. What is that? How is that implemented where you're at? And how would you?
Are you participating very much?
And how would you describe it to others around the country who may not be familiar with it yet?
Great question. We have run a couple of Winter Marksman Leagues in Emporia. I participated in the first one, and then I was out of town for a couple of things on the second one, and then it was really cold for a couple, so I was a weenie, and I came home. And I was scared of getting beat like I did in the first one. I got beat handily. Yeah. But anyway, Winter Marksman League, I think, is a fantastic way to kind of keep your putting touch live during the winter months. It's cold outside. Nobody wants to, especially like throwing sucks when it's cold, but putting especially sucks when it's cold. Because if you can't feel your fingers, I feel like it's impossible to putt. And so we've come up with this system where we have a 20-foot putt, a 25-foot putt, a 33-foot putt on regular baskets, and then a 25-foot marksman basket, which, if you're not familiar, is just basically the interchain assembly, pretty close to the pole. You have to hit a narrower target for sure, and then a 33-foot marksman basket. And your points are accumulated based on how many points you make at each of the targets. And so 1 point for the 20-foot basket, 2 points for the 25, 3 for the 33, and so on. And if you want to get demoralized and feel really awful about yourself, go to one of those with Eric McCabe, and then you'll feel bad.
Well, it's funny. I'm looking at the statistics right now. He's number 1 in the global standings. I feel like we've been at 6 weeks for a while here. I feel like I'm maybe missing something, but I could be wrong there. Either way, he's winning the global. That's world. That's like our Earth. He is apparently one of the best putters.
Flat world champion.
Yeah, on our Flat Earth champion. He's the Flat Earth champion.
Oh man, Flat Earth. I didn't know that affected putts so much.
It really does.
Well, if it's curved, then you got to play around the Earth, and if it's flat, you just get to putt flat. And if you putt on a hyzer on a flat Earth, it's gonna roll away. I mean,
that's why I have so many rollaways. Yeah. I play on the round Earth.
Duh.
I should really change that.
Plenty of good points you guys are making right now. I really.
That's what we do here. That's why we need a little more time for our podcast as opposed to your abbreviated version.
It's at 6 weeks because I'm pretty sure Eric hasn't been a part of the second one, but they all run for 6 weeks. So they take your best 4 of the 6, and that's what your score comes out of.
Okay.
And I was there whenever Eric put down, like a 174, 170, and that's pretty stupid. I mean, really. I think my best week was a 140 something, and I won that week because Eric wasn't there and Dixon wasn't there, and Dixon did really well at Dixon Jowers did really well at Winter Marksman League also. So that was the only week that I won, and I wouldn't say I did great at the others. I'm more of like, I'm a routine putter. Okay, I really like to take my time, go through my routine, say my things to myself. Right, it works great for tournaments. It works awful for putting contests and things like that.
Now, what type of environment is the putting league you go to? Is it more casual? Do you have people? I mean, I would like to yell at people when they putt. I'm that way a little bit. I think it would be more just have a little more fun. But when your results are posted everywhere, I would feel a little bit worse about that. Everyone kind of is heckling. That's a good way to put it. Razzing.
Yeah, no heckling at ours, which makes me feel even worse about the scores that I accomplished. But it is kind of a hectic environment. We have it at Brickyard 20. So if you've been to Emporia before and you're watching this, you know that environment. And the baskets are kind of close to one another, so it's easy for someone to walk on your putt where they're walking right behind the basket and not noticing, talking while you're putting and all that stuff. So it's a pretty distracted environment for sure. And that's why Eric just rapid fires, and once he feels one, he can just repeat that motion and just make a bunch of them. And turns out he does that during regular disc golf rounds too. It's so strange.
Well, and it's funny we're talking about this very concept because a few days ago, somewhere on the Facebooks, I saw someone post a meme of someone with their mouth wide open, and it read something to the effect of, for that guy that has to reset his routine every putt at putting league. And it sounds like you're that guy. And
No, I'm not that guy, because I'm aware that people would hate that. And so I just go and just kind of just throw them. Yeah.
So
I'm not trying to slow everybody else.
So you're worried about what other people are thinking as you're putting. Therefore, you change your routine. Man, I'm not sure that sounds like good professional advice.
It is not. Do not do as I do. Just do as I say to do sometimes.
Well, Bobby Brown on the board, you may know that guy. If he says,
I've heard of him.
He's that guy. So
whatever, dude. Bobby has no room to talk about anything related to Winter Marksman League.
How does Bobby do? Well, let's get. He's not here. What do you say? How does he do?
First of all, he's definitely here. Bobby is a lurker.
Oh, okay.
He is here.
Well, okay. Well, he doesn't get a chance to speak up fully, so that's why I'll ask you. How does Bobby do in the putting?
Bobby usually doesn't putt in putting league. He goes and records, and so he'll go live. I know, excuses.
There's only so many times you can do that. Like week 5, you're like, oh no, I need some more footage of Eric hitting every putt. What's the point? At some point, you have to put the camera down and pick the discs up.
Sounds like a convenient excuse.
Yeah, super convenient excuses, right? And believe it or not, we've got Bobby and I have a bet whether I'll get to 1,000 rated by the end of 2018. I think that is possible because I've been there before, and I know what it takes. He doesn't think it's possible because when you work in disc golf, it's more difficult to play disc golf as much as you did before. So we go back and forth on that. We always heckle each other about it. And if you listen to our podcast, it's well documented that we give each other a hard time about it.
This is your second. This is your second podcast of the day. You guys usually record early on Tuesdays.
We did record earlier today, yes, sir. Right. So yeah, I've got my podcast voice nice and warm. Just for you guys.
Bobby said something about asking you about the 5 at a time, 5 at once putting. Who won that one?
I'll get to that. Yeah. So to Bobby's credit, we go to Winter Marksman League, and he just sticks the camera in my face, and he's like, "All right, time to putt, man." And like that's it's a little unsettling for everybody to be watching you putt. And so yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that. Even if he wasn't there, I probably still wouldn't have done very well, but more excuses. What Bobby's alluding to is on one of the live videos, I said, you know what? I putted poorly today. I bet I could do better if I putted all 5 at one time. And so I went to the 20-foot basket, and I putted, and I missed all of them because obviously. Oh, did I lose you guys, or are you still there?
We're here.
Okay. My computer did something crazy. So then I said, all right, I'm going to try it again. All 5 at one time, 0. Friggin' Bobby takes 5 putters, and I think he made 2 the first time, or maybe 1 the first time, and then like 3 or 4 the second time. He just showed me up, in my face,
Wow.
live video and everything. It was not my favorite.
So you said you recorded a podcast earlier today. What's kind of that workflow? And then I was going to say this could be a Bobby question, but obviously you're right there and know what's going on. I mean, does Bobby just need all of this extra time to go fix all the mistakes that he makes? Or I mean, I'm assuming your content was flawless, right?
Yes. If you've heard me on live video, you know that I have never had a slip of the tongue. Always say exactly what I want to, without stutters or saying absolutely a whole bunch. That's just me. That's who I am.
Absolutely.
You know? No, I think we've talked about doing a live video before, and we've started videoing, and honestly, most of our stuff really is one take. But I don't think he's ready to just go full on live just yet, because it'd be nice to have an extra person to do some camera switching and things like that, and we don't currently have that person. We are hiring a person. He may still be on the board. Danny Lindahl is coming to work at Dynamic Discs in March, and we are thrilled to have him join our team to do some instructional videos and form how-to tips, things like that. And just to, in general, be a part of our media team. We're super excited to have him join us.
That's what I've heard. Now, is that an exclusive? Has that been announced everywhere else?
Yeah, no, it's everywhere.
It's been announced, but I'll call it an exclusive if you would like me to.
There you go. Exclusive here tonight. Well, that's
Exclusive
awesome. No, we
what we just said.
No, and we've seen Danny out on the board, and Danny has been a great contributor for everyone's benefit. So it's no surprise to see you guys snatch him up like that, have him brought in house to do all the things that he's doing. It's great to see.
He's a great kid. Super excited to have him on board.
So what's next for you, Robert? What are we going to see out of you? I mean, obviously you just mentioned some traveling, maybe not as much golf. What's coming down the pipeline for you that we don't already know or assume?
What else is coming? The next tournament that I'm signed up for is Monkey Island Open. That's at Peter Pan Park, and that's at the end of March. I may play one when we get back from Memorial, but that all depends on when we get back, if my wife is willing to go with me to the tournament. If she's not, then I will be at home hanging out
with my wonderful wife. Well, can't wait to spend another day with.
I like how you call her out live on the podcast. No pressure, hun.
She knows what the deal is. No, she's super great. Loves when I go to tournaments and travel, but she enjoys spending time with me. A valuable characteristic in your mate.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Terry and I, same thing.
Yeah, you guys are so cute together too, and it's great. But yeah, we will have been gone for the Memorial for, I don't know, 8 or 9, 10 days. And so if it doesn't make sense to go to that one, then no worries. But we may go to that. We'll see. But yeah, the Memorial is the next thing up on our list. We leave for that Sunday the 25th.
And I guess we haven't really finalized the plan. Maybe Bobby can chime in, but I'm hoping and assuming you and I may be doing some play-by-play come Glassblown Open. Does that sound about right?
I mean, it seems like something that we might do. I've heard that could happen.
It would make sense to me.
So
could be my new favorite week of the year again.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited because I'm making every effort in the world to be there. So I think I'm going to be there. I'm super excited.
Glad he is.
Have you been, Johnny?
I have. I've been to GBO 2 years ago, I believe it was. Maybe it was 3. It was 2 or 3 years ago I was at the GBO and we did live there. So I think it had to be 2. And it's so much fun. And this year it's going to be, every year I look forward to going to a big trip. It used to be the Memorial, and now that we're doing this, it doesn't work out for Memorial. So GBO just makes the most sense. And it's just such a great week of disc golf. And if I'm very lucky, I want to get signed up for one of those like Flex C tiers that happen the week before, or like a couple days before on Tuesday or Wednesday or something. I want to maybe see if I can get in on some of that. So I'm really excited.
Definitely. And if it is at all within my power and you get signed up for one of those, I will play that round with you. I don't think I can, but I would love to. That would be so much fun.
Oh, that'll be nice and embarrassing.
So one of the other things, talking about excitement,
that's gonna be tough when I'm in the Masters division.
One of the other exciting things that you and I had a quick conversation about this morning, this year, again, we're seeing Dynamic Disc move into a stadium setting. You guys have moved it around a couple times throughout the last few years. It was such an honor and a pleasure and so much fun being down in Nashville last year just so I could record your ace. And I don't even think I recorded, actually. But to be able to publish your ace, that was a big deal. This year, Arrowhead, and signups are starting soon. Is that what I saw?
Signups start today's the 13th.
Oh.
Signups start tomorrow at noon Central.
Okay.
Noon. Yes, and we've got space for about 500 people at this event. I don't think it'll fill the first couple of days, but I do think the event will fill. I know that we've had a lot of people from the Midwest excited for us to come to a stadium that's a little bit closer to them, and this is that. And so I think it's going to be a fantastic event. We had a great time at AT&T Stadium and then at Nissan Stadium last year. And if you haven't gotten to come to one of these, you have to try it out. Golly, it's just so much fun. For no other reason that you just get to throw Frisbees where you're not supposed to throw Frisbees. It's awesome.
I couldn't agree more. And again, it was such an honor to be there last year, and I had so much fun down in Nashville. And I will echo that exactly. It's just a unique experience that you can't get anywhere else where you can legally be allowed to be throwing discs
What are we
around.
doing that weekend?
It's Father's Day weekend. Is that correct? Is it June 16th, did you say, or July 16th?
June 16th is right.
Okay, so I would assume that's Father's Day weekend or somewhere right around that time frame. There's nothing officially that I saw. I think there was. I may have a conflict of possibly filming something, but if there's any way that we can make it work, it would be awesome to return down there. It's funny because I actually had to look up. I never really thought about where Arrowhead Stadium was in the Kansas City area. I've been there for lots of tournaments, but never really thought, obviously never been there for any kind of game. So, yeah, I mean, easy place to fly in and out of, major hub for a lot of different people from all around the country. So you definitely need to get there if you have the opportunity to be there on that given weekend, for sure.
No doubt. And I think they said they were going to reschedule Father's Day to accommodate for the disc golf experience.
Oh, yeah. That sounds like something DD would, you guys should do that. Good call.
Oh, it's not us. It's the national
No,
calendar.
I mean, you guys make that happen. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah. We're working on
and
that.
speaking of the boss man calling all the shots, did I see an Instagram? Is he in Mexico or somewhere, or just coming back from there?
He just got back. They Jeremy and Jamie went on a sales trip to a couple different places, and tail end of that. Yeah, sales trip.
Yeah, sure.
But tail end of that, Jeremy went down to Mexico with his wife and a couple of other people, and so he just got back today. We had staff meeting this morning, and then we threw some discs after work.
Okay.
He's pretty good, by the way. I don't know if I think Steve Rico's got him as far as owners go. I think Stevie's probably still got the edge, but Rusko's up there, man. He's going to compete in the U.S. Amateur Match Play Championships coming up in March, and I don't know if y'all have talked about it or heard about it or whatever, but it's going to be pretty sweet.
I would love to see an event, an owners only event, where you pull in Rico and Jeremy,
Dave
Dunapace,
UC, bring him out of retirement.
And, I'm trying to think who would be technically for Prodigy. Would that be?
You'd have to Will Schustrick and Michael Sullivan and Phil Arthur.
Sullivan or Phil Arthur.
And Seppo.
Or I was thinking Dave Greenwell.
I
was thinking Greenwell. That would be a ton of fun to kind of watch these guys, and it would be all for fun, but it'll never happen just because it's not likely. But I think that would be a blast to watch these guys, because most of these guys have known each other for 10, 15, 20 years. So
I take it back now that you mentioned those other names.
Rattled off.
No offense, Rusko, but I'll give a nod to Will Schustrick probably over you.
It's nice to say before you think about it, and then when someone's like, "Oh yeah, oh him, oh yeah, him." Ugh.
Oh yeah.
I might be able to get that Duvall fella, but probably not you. See,
even Duvall, you're like,
definitely some some talented owners that we have out there for sure. Anything else you need to share with us, Robert, that we didn't hit on tonight?
Let me think what else we have going on. I just briefly mentioned USA Match Play Championships. You need to check that out. It's discgolfmatchplay.com. We'll start with local qualifiers, brackets of 16. Those will move to a 16-person regional qualifier. The winners of those come to Emporia for a 64-person bracket championship layout. If you make it that far, we cover $500 worth of your travel. Just for coming, here's a $500 check. Thank you for making it to Emporia. If you do happen to win this thing, which means you've bested a whole bunch of people, you get 18 baskets and 18 tee signs with which to do whatever you want. If you want to revamp one of the parks in your city, if you want to put in a new course, whatever you want to do, it's your prerogative. Along with those, you get free discs for life.
What?
Yeah.
And I'll air quotes life because it's really 20 years.
Oh,
but
I was going to say, is that like life in prison that I've heard about?
That's right. That's right. But this has a better connotation, I hope.
Okay.
No, we'll start by giving you $2,000 worth of credit online to the dynamicdiscs.com store. I don't know if you've tried to spend $2,000 worth of discs in a while, but it's difficult. That's a lot of money. And then $500 in that same account every year after that for 20 years. So yeah, you will not be wanting for discs at all. So we're going to do that singles one, March, April, and May. The championship will be in May. And then we're going to do a doubles one later in the year and have some similarly great prizes for that.
So real quickly, can you recap a few of the specifics as to who's eligible? I know,
Sure.
We've worked closely with Latitude 64 and the Next Generation Tour last year, and what they were defining as amateurs and so on and so forth. How exactly is one eligible for this contest?
Great question. So the first part is if you are a current PDGA member, then your rating has to be below 970. If it's 970 or above, you gone. Okay. Not interested in having you. We're interested, but you won't be able to play. So that's if you have a current PDGA rating. If you are not current but have had a PDGA rating before, then we'll look at your past ratings. If you can't have ever had a rating over 970
ever. If
you're not current ever. A player
what
rating,
if you,
not a round rating.
Yeah, no. What if you are current, but it's still sub 970 now?
If you're current and it's sub 970, you're good to go.
Yes, we are set.
Yes, you're alive. You're alive in the competition.
Not yet. I mean that Masters title in the A tier. Okay, go on.
Yes, and even like if you've accepted cash and you're below 970, you can still participate.
Yes. Okay.
You guys are in. And then if you don't have a PDGA number, then you're in.
Oh. Okay.
So that's so many people can compete in this. The discs that you get to start off with, I think, are worth the price of admission. We've got some really fantastic new releases coming out from DD, Latitude, and Westside this year, but the two that are going to be the discs in that event are going to be the Explorer and the Maverick. They'll both be burst, and they'll both be gold line and fusion plastic. And these discs are something special. Slower fairway drivers. The Explorer is really neutral, has some really good stability to it, and kind of just has like a subtle fade at the end, a slow, subtle fade. And then the Maverick has a really interesting slow turn to it. It will move to the right, but it won't whip to the right. It just kind of does it really slowly. And you can achieve some really cool flies with those. We've got a whole lot of other great new releases coming this year, but those are the two that are part of the U.S. Amateur Match Play Championships.
Sweet. Well, again, that's discgolfmatchplay.com. I know there's a lot of talk about it, and I know I mentioned it probably a few months ago already. Dynamic Discs had so graciously sent out basically like a care package to all of the state coordinators, in which I received one this year, being the Wisconsin state coordinator, and it had a very nice jacket in there, and it had the Disc Golf Match Play logo on there, and just a really nice gesture from Dynamic Discs all around. So very exciting. Again, go check them out, discgolfmatchplay.com. And that's heating up and taking place all starting in the next few weeks.
Mm-hmm. And we've partnered with UDisc for that as well, for the brackets and reporting, so that everything can be truly random. So if you go to discgolfmatchplay.com and realize that your city or area doesn't have a bracket already going, you can apply to run one. And then if you are the director of that bracket, you can still play in it because UDisc randomizes the players. So you can't stack your bracket so that you could win. It's truly just you do a little bit of legwork and then you get to run an event in your area.
Oh. Yeah, it looks like we have quite a few of them in our area. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in Wisconsin.
I'll be at all of them.
Good.
I got to get in where I fit in.
That's all that have been registered. It was just 7, so they're all your area. That's not true. We have 235 registered right now. We are shooting for 296. So if you're listening to this and you go on there and look, there's not one in your area, do not be afraid to run one of these. It is really, really low maintenance as far as running an event goes. I mean, we'll give you all that you need and give you the support that you need as well.
Absolutely. And I think what's great is, we've seen trilogy challenges, we've seen ace races, we see confidence clashes, we see all these different variations of great ways to go out and play, really structured and organized tournaments, all the way to, go out and try out these new disc kind of tournaments and everything in between. And so to see, again, I'll reference the Next Gen Tour in the last 2 years as they've come about, you guys taking a different spin. Match play is an entirely separate beast and just so much fun.
I love match play.
And it's such a great way to have these great competitions. So, hats off to you guys for, innovating yet another new fun way for people to be able to go out and compete with others. It's looking forward to it. I'm sure we'll be talking about it on the show, as it continues to unfold throughout the year.
Yeah, we got I think that's going to be a fantastic event. And just like you guys said, match play is a totally different animal. I've played in several local ones of these before, and I have beaten players that I had no business beating, and I've gotten smoked by players that had no business beating me, like Johnny.
I've done the same. Yeah, I've done the same. It was a couple of years ago where we were playing a team event, which is all match play, and I was team captain. I put myself as the #1 open spot because I was a sacrificial lamb. And
that's right.
And I went ahead and beat some of the best players in the state, and which I should not have, including someone on Terry's team. And then lost to 1 or 2 ones that I thought, oh my god, I can't believe I lost to that person, because match play is so different and interesting. It's so much fun.
I agree.
Different dynamic for sure.
No.
Yeah, because it's one-on-one now. We always talk about playing the course. One of the things I said about this weekend's win was that it was a really boring win. I didn't do anything crazy. I didn't go on these crazy birdie streaks. I just kept it in the middle and made a few birdies. But match play, and I didn't know where I stood with my other competitors at all until maybe hole 18. I was like, oh crap, we're tied. I just got a 3 here, But in match play, you know exactly where you stand with the other individuals because you're just playing against one other person.
Yep.
And it's fantastic. We got Walter doing some adjusting here. I'm sorry.
All right. It's all right.
He's a sweet guy. But yeah, there's a little bit of gamesmanship that comes in with that. You can if you're this sort of player, you can kind of get into another person's head a little bit and mess around with them. Big putting is a huge deal. If you're Ricky Wysocki, you're gonna be really good at match play because but you'll be right outside somebody. You're at 40 feet, you jam that 40-footer, and all of a sudden their 25-footer that's a must make now. And it's just a totally different dynamic. It's a really fun thing to be a part of.
Yeah, it's really good for the sport. Anytime we get these events that bring in different types of competitiveness is always good.
And I think that's almost a perfect quote to end on. If you're Ricky Wysocki, you could be really good at match play.
I got lots more of those.
So many insights. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. I knew exactly what you were saying.
Tune into GBO if you want more of those deep insights from Robert McCall.
Hey guys, listen. Whoever throws the disc the fewest amount of times this week, they're going to win.
Yeah, they're going to take home a title.
Thanks, Crazy.
Yes.
Unless they DNF. Any other super pressing questions, disc golf related or not? I mean, are we good to go?
No, I was just going to ask. Maybe the final one was, since you guys recorded Disc Golf Answer Man, which will release when?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Give us one little spoiler, one little SmashBox exclusive that you have to be listening here and now tonight.
I appreciate the shout out last week because I did once again listen to the first 10 and the last 10, so I appreciate that.
My man. My man.
Give our Smashies one tiny little nugget, because this podcast, unless you're a Patreon supporter, you may not hear till Thursday or Saturday or whenever, but give us one little nugget that'll be a surprise.
I'm trying to think about what we talked about. I mean, we talked about some of the things that we talked about here: U.S. Amateur Match Play, Arrowhead Stadium. We do a polls and surveys segment that we've been getting into a little bit more. Do a few polls on YouTube and Facebook and things like that. And here's a nugget: is that people are really particular about the color of discs that they choose. Did you guys know that?
Yes, people, and I think that it's overblown. But you will get people that are very particular that say specific discs always fly differently than other discs, color-wise, which I have a hard time believing. I do believe that the color of the plastic can make a difference. I have a hard time believing it's going to make a huge difference.
Or a blanket statement
saying
all blue are always overstable.
Correct. Like, oh yeah, my blue Marshall is way more stable than my blue EMAC Truth, or blue ones are more stable. Not always the case, because I think it depends on dominus and things like that. But you're right. People, and this is not a new phenomenon. This is, as long as I can remember golf discs, people have been saying how color matters. And for me, color is just an easy way to find it when I throw it in the woods.
Yeah,
that's crucial exactly for you. What I said too, is that I don't really care about the color of the disc. I find ones that look cool, and I'm like, hey, this looks cool, and I throw that. As long as it's not, brown or green or something that'll be impossible to find. Yep. I know that there have been some well-documented times where, like Discraft used to run these pink Forces that were just bananas overstable, and everybody loved them, and that you could count on. If you have a pink Force, that's very overstable. And then mint discs, the guys out of Austin, Guy Boyan and Zach Jansen and those guys, they talk about how different their colors can be in the plastics that they run. And so I think there is some of that from each company, company to company. But blanket statement, pink discs are more overstable, blue discs are more overstable. That is incorrect. I will scientifically disprove that whenever you'd like. Not right now, because I don't have the disc with me, but sometime.
All right. Well, make sure. You give us the plug. When and where should they find more deep insights from Robert McCall?
Well, if you're just looking for just off the cuff Robert McCall, you can find me on Facebook. I have an Instagram. My Facebook is just me. I don't have an athlete page because that's for people who like do good stuff, and I'm just on there. Then I have an Instagram page. Don't post a lot on there, but I do follow a lot of people and keep up with things on there. But as far as the podcast goes, it's called the Disc Golf Answer Man Podcast. We put that out most Wednesdays. We record on Tuesdays, put it out on Wednesdays. And we have a Facebook page for that as well, where we have people come and post videos of their throwing form, and we'll help with some critique there, help with some disc comparisons, general questions, and then we'll upload segments to the Dynamic Discs page as well. So you can get a hold of me in a whole lot of different ways right now. Maybe a few more than I'd like, but it's all right for the time being.
And just apply to be on the team. He'd love to talk to you.
All you got to do is go to dynamicdisc.com, look at sponsorship, then player sponsorship, and I personally will respond to your sponsorship request. I may not say yes, but I will respond.
But he'll respond. So
he's just excited to rain on your parade.
So I would like all of our listeners to go out to Dynamic Disc and apply to the team, and just put a question for Robert, just like a small essay. I think that
you'd be surprised how many of them are like that. Very essay-like.
All right, buddy. Well, as always, we appreciate it. We know you guys are doing great work over there. We appreciate the constant relationship we have with Dynamic Discs and your entire Trilogy family, your extended family over there with all the great people over in Emporia, and the support you guys give us, and we try to reciprocate that as much as we can. And we're looking forward to another great season, 2018. You've got an amazing team both in the office and out on the course, and we're looking forward to covering them all.
I plan on beating Robert and EMAC at Fantasy Disc Golf this year.
If you can't do it on the course, do it on the computer.
That's right.
Possible. That's possible for sure. Quick parting shot. Yes, I'm glad you said that about our sponsored team. We've got several new sponsored players to keep an eye out for this year. I'm sure you guys have talked about it just a little bit, but Zoe Andyke, Dustin Keegan, AJ Risley, Peter McBride, Chris Clemens, Jordan Castro, whole lot of new faces to the DD team that we're excited to have aboard. And I think that's going to be super cool to see those guys out on tour. And then the other thing, I guess this was a nugget. We told people that they should be patrons for you guys. We plugged your Patreon site on the surveys and polls thing today. So when you see a huge uptick in your patrons, you're welcome, and I'll send you an address for my royalty check.
Yes,
you will get it.
First of all, Jeff Hawkins says Disc Golf Answer Man is the best. Get the ban hammer out. I don't need that. All right.
Who has a wrench to ban this man?
How about this? Would be fitting. We'll give you the wrench. You log in, and then you ban.
I
Jeff
think Robert
Hawkins.
has a wrench. Actually,
I've got a wrench.
Yeah, I've
got a wrench, and I'm not afraid to use it.
No, you're
That's
not.
right.
All right, Robert McCall. We appreciate your time and your hair. We'll catch you next time.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, buddy.
Later.
As we said, Robert from Disc Golf Answer Man and the Dynamic Disc team manager.
One of my favorite people in the world.
I don't know how you can't love that guy. If you love him as much as we do, go out to our Patreon.
Patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. You can support at any level to love Robert.
Yes.
Just make sure to put in the comments, I love Robert this much, and whether it's $1 a week or $5 a week to us, we will pass on those goodwill, and then you will be entered into our weekly giveaway as well.
Yes, you will. Good call, Robert McCall. All right. I don't know what else we have out on the board. We're checking out. We're, again, a lot of conversation. Denny Lindahl going to move. I believe he's going to be moving.
He said he's up, and he's going to be bringing all of his stuff from, I believe, Arkansas, and moving to the great state of Kansas.
So congratulations to Danny. Again, a ton of you have already seen videos that he's been putting out for a while now, and does all sorts of good stuff. So really, again, no surprise to see him teaming up with Dynamic Disc to be doing what he's going to be doing out there. So can you give negative for Rob? No, we cannot do that. All right. A couple topics we could go over.
Yeah, let's talk about some PDGA news.
Some PDGA news. One of the things they just announced today was the marketing position is open, or there is one, I should say. I feel like we've kind of seen that position filled or declared in the past. I want to say, in fact, that may have been an official title at one point of John Dusler, who I would say is the most recent,
I believe so,
to fill those actual shoes or that role. John Dusler, as many of you know, had created and started Disc Golf Planet TV, and now has since then moved on to doing some amazing stuff, working with the PGA Tour and doing some other drone coverage and video and aerial things. But a marketing position within the PDGA, so often we talk about, well, the PDGA should be doing this. I hear that about a lot of things.
Shoulda, woulda,
but
coulda.
specifically, people say, the PDGA should be doing more sponsors and should be, getting our pros and having them make a living, and they should be making more money and all this other stuff.
No.
I think and I'll fully disclose, I did not read all of the details on the website, but I think a specific person tasked with marketing for disc golf within the PDGA could have such a massive ripple effect. It could start in one spot, and then from there, it could just sprawl into so many other things, intentionally or otherwise.
A PDGA marketing person should be looking at ways to market the PDGA, or maybe, depending on what's going on, the national tour events. Not necessarily, clearly not individual players or anything like that. Just the PDGA, looking at ways to bring in advertisers or advertise as the PDGA. And that's what I think really the marketing director needs to focus on at this point.
Well, let's since we were accused of not correctly reading from the PDGA website last week, I'm going to quickly scan through a few of the things that it talks about. It talks about the growth and the secrets out, disc golf's great, all that good stuff, some more stuff. We have, nearly 40,000 active members probably this year, which is also awesome in itself with over 3,500 sanctioned events. But then it talks about who you report to, which is the executive director. That would be Joe Chargoloff. Position summary. I'll try and read through this quickly. The PDGA seeks a self-motivated and energetic individual to serve as a marketing manager of this rapidly developing international sports organization. The successful candidate must be a dynamic professional with demonstrated ability to implement innovative strategies designed to promote the goals of the PDGA with the ability to exercise independent judgment in completing both long-term and short-term projects over a wide range of marketing, advertising, and sponsorship programs. PDGA marketing programs encompass the following areas: promotions, commercial sponsorship, advertising, branding, and public relations. So, again, go out there. You can find it all on the PDGA website. It talks about 5 to 10 years of experience they're looking for in marketing, advertising, and or sponsorship. Negotiating skills, self-motivating, creative thinking, administrative ability, so on and so forth.
I would like to see us hire outside of the sport. I kind of almost always say that.
Yeah.
But I would love to see someone that has some experience, as they say, 5 to 10 years, come in from outside of the sport. Or, I mean, even if you're familiar with disc golf, not be necessarily a name, but it's so tough.
Well, and I think, and just like for our executive director role that we've seen, I get excited about the idea of a successful person in almost any other field where obviously their skill sets could be applied and possibly bring in fresh blood. And I like you're saying, I would love to see someone who has successfully worked with any other, ideally, in my opinion, sporting association at least. And it doesn't have to be, but I like the idea of someone that said, yes, I worked with the Water Polo Association and we, I did this and got it to there. Or I worked with some other, it doesn't have to be a niche sport or market like I feel like we are, but some other organization where sports were involved and then they had direct relationships with people that want to be involved with sporting, with a sporting group that we are.
I totally agree.
That's what I would love to see.
The question is someone like that out there that's looking for a position?
I think there's no doubt. Somebody who's been, I say this in a similar sense too. If disc golf didn't exist tomorrow and it got wiped off the face of the earth, I think I would probably find myself attached to some other small to medium-sized sport that has growth potential that I could get excited about promoting and or covering. And somebody could, the water polo guy could have been like, or female could have been like, hey, I've been doing water polo for 10 years. I feel like I've done what I can do to expand this. Disc golf sounds like another great sport. I don't know. That's who I personally see as moving into a role like that. So.
Yeah, Chris Cobb says, no joke, he's going to be applying for the job.
That's awesome. I totally agree and think you should. Someone clearly who I think talks about negotiating, sponsorship agreements, those types of things are all going to be and we know, and me from running so many tournaments throughout the last 20 years, it takes a special type of individual to go ask for money, to learn how to get turned down for money, and how to negotiate deals that work for both parties. So whoever that might be, I'd love to see it.
Good luck to you.
I hear the NFL marketing director is looking to make a move. Not sure we could afford whoever that might be. All right, so that's what you see. Again, pdga.com. Go find it. I think it was just posted today. So if you want a job in disc golf and you fit those skill sets,
go make that happen.
Go apply.
Some other news from not necessarily the PDGA. Well, we'll stick with the PDGA. They are expanding NT payouts. structure. I believe it's bonuses they were talking about particularly.
Specifically for the bonus structure, correct. So last year, there was a massive influx in, or a shot in the arm that came in terms of the payout, the amount of the payout that was given throughout the NT Series or for the NT Series Championship. And now this year, I believe it's going to be just it says flatter and deeper payout is how the article was worded. And then they make a direct comparison, again, found on PDGA's website. They make a direct comparison saying that last year, at $25,000 given out for the MPO bonus structure, there was $10,000 given for first, $5,000 for second, so on and so forth, in the open men's division. So they went $10,000 for first, $5,000 for second, $3,000 for third. This year, they're going to even that out a little bit, and they would go $6,000 for first, $4,000 for second, the same $3,000 for third.
I was going to say, it looks like they've basically taken a chunk from the top and put it at the bottom.
And that's exactly, hence flatter and deeper. That's exactly what they did. So instead of, the top two spots last year got $15,000, this year the top two spots will get a combined total of $10,000, and then they'll basically just flatten that on the bottom side, where last year they paid to the top 10 spots, and I think it's been that way for many years.
Way to go, Risley.
And now they're paying 11th through 15th. And that's where, again, you're looking at $1,500, $3,000, $39,000. Yeah, you're looking at roughly another $3,000 was shifted toward the bottom to pay 3 extra spots. On the women's side, they have a $10,000 total, and they gave away $5,000 for first and $2,500 for second. Next year, or here in 2018, they're going to give away $2,500 for first and $1,700 for second. So again, trimming it up, and then they only paid the top 5 last year. This year, they're going to pay 6th through 10th.
Which makes a lot of sense when if our FPO fields are expanding and we're looking to bring in more people to be touring.
Well, and exactly. It's all about that sustainability of, and fair or not, we could all argue all day long, but I'll just say, who needs that $500 more? And maybe that's not a fair way to look at it. Who's it going to stretch further and benefit more? $500 more to Ricky or Paul, for instance, on the top in spots 1 or 2, or $500 that goes to 10th or 11th place? Clearly that 11th place person, that might keep them on the road for an extra week or two.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the logic and the overall look at it. Some people have said, well, what are Ricky and Paul or some of the best going to think of that? I think they're going to be perfectly fine with it. I think they realize that we need to deepen the fields.
The top, I'll say the top 3 or 4 players that are winning these bonuses, and I'm going to say this very delicately. It's not like they're not going to miss the money. Now
they'll be okay.
They'll be fine. Everyone wants an extra $2,000 to $3,000, but them not having it isn't going to set them back as far as the 11th place guy getting that extra $500 or $600, because there is that big of a discrepancy between the top and that second tier, which is what those guys are. It's unfortunate right now, but that's the truth.
And someone had asked on the board, there was a question that went out there. I believe it was it Nick Wood that initially started the question? He talked about going on tour full-time this year and some of the costs and the challenges that are associated with it. And some people had chimed in. I saw Avery Jenkins chimed in with what he said his costs were in 2001. I don't know if that's the last time he kept full records, but it was just weird that he threw out that year specifically.
Well, I had to buy 12 CDs, and
but with BMG Music or Columbia House, I actually got those 12 free. I just had to pay for the one.
They were a penny,
exactly.
actually.
And then I just had to buy one more a month for the next 6 months, and then I fulfilled it. But anyway, gosh, there's something old school.
Bringing in the youthful podcast group,
exactly.
About Columbia.
But Holly Finley chimed in, and a few others chimed in talking about that 10 to 15 to 20 to 30,000. Don Smith chimed in. When you're talking about $20,000 to $30,000 to be on tour, legitimate expense at the end of the year, that's where I have to say again, $500 or a $700 bonus is going to mean way more to AJ Risley than $700 extra is going to mean to Paul McBeth. And like I said, that may keep them on another week, another 2 weeks, another month out on a tour or something like that, or if those are there.
I agree. I've got no problem with it.
Yeah, the reality is until there is massive money that's being given out, in this case, and I don't want to turn this political, in this case though, you can't just give it all and make it all top heavy, because everyone else
Socialist
will get choked out. They just won't be able to afford to do it at all. So, and that's why you see some of the flatter payouts within the Pro Tour.
No, I'm completely with you.
Because Steve Dodge, a main goal of his with the Pro Tour is to make touring as possible as you can with where we're at right now, trying to make that sustainable. So anyway, great to see. Everybody could say, well, we just need 25 or 50 more grand. Well, we'd all love to see more money, as you said. But for now, spreading it out a little bit more, I think is going to help the bigger picture.
Yeah, especially for those bonuses at the end of the year. All right, the other disc golf news that we have is MVP making a splash into the sponsored pro touring pool, picking up Matt Dollar. Really probably their biggest name on their team at this point now, correct?
You said it. I am not going to offend anybody. No. I mean, Graham Russell. Hey, buddy. I saw Graham and Jason over at Maricopa. I was also seeing them.
Correct.
But yeah, Matt Dollar, ratings-wise and probably in terms of just overall visibility,
yep.
Matt Dollar's been sponsored by Innova. Matt Dollar's been sponsored by Latitude 64. He had announced a few months ago, I believe, that he didn't see himself moving forward. Obviously, this seems as if it was in the works. And it's awesome. It's great to see. A lot of people have kind of said, MVP makes these great discs, and they do a lot of great things, and they've had this success without, I don't want to say dumping, but without investing a lot of money in our top level, most expensive acquisitions in our top level pros, and they've built a great company without doing that. And now, I'm not saying they're giving away the company to Dollar either, but now we see them investing in securing this big name.
Correct. It makes sense. I mean, Matt Dollar is a disc golf household name. I would say he's out there enough, but he is not a top tier guy yet. Now, that could change in a couple of years. It may not. It might mean, Matt Dollar continues to play well at larger A tiers as he does, and then in your national tours and pro tours, he's top 10, somewhere around there. But it is a good way for MVP to kind of dip their toe into the sponsored player market and see what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. There's really nowhere else to go with that other than it's great to see. I don't know if that means there's more on the horizon, if they're actively seeking out other players.
Looking for a Masters player who won an A tier. You never know.
I'm just saying it might be available. We've seen them work with when Scott Stokely made his big return 2 years ago now. We saw them work very closely with Scott Stokely. I know at one point Nico was throwing some of their discs, and Nico had some affiliation or tie to them. But right now, Matt Dollar is going to be the largest name that we're seeing, again, with his overall visibility. And some people have said Jacob Mott, there's no denying he's got game, and a lot of other players that they sponsored, and I think of a Jennifer Sawyer who is very active on social media and does a great job of putting herself out there and the company out there. So this is no diss to anyone else, but
by no means. They've got good players, but he's their first touring pro. Like truly, if he's gonna up and tour the year, touring pro, then MVP has.
Yeah, so it's very, very good to see. And then somebody else had asked a little bit earlier on the board, actually, if we had discussed anything about the new Chain Star Pro basket by Discraft, and we kind of inadvertently kind of broke some news about that. Well, I guess not inadvertently, but a week or two ago, a year or two. I think Steve Dodge didn't realize that we had known what we knew about it and that Keith Murray was talking about it the way he did, but it's now made itself around the internet a little bit more, the Facebooks, I believe, and other stuff regarding the new design of the Chainstar Pro. And I think my hint or my comment at the time was if you're from the Midwest and you've seen spider baskets, they're something of that similar nature and design. And I was in the factory in December and I was launching discs as hard as I could really at this basket at the various spots in the chains, and not a single disc spit through. I was going to say at all, the spit through that shouldn't have, but not a single disc spit through. You're not going to see a spit through. It'll be great to see. So. Yeah,
and Phoenix Ruger Redbird says they are going to be installed at Vista later this week, clearly in preparation for the Pro Tour event coming up in more or less just under 3 weeks.
Yeah. And speaking of Pro Tour, I guess I'll segue into a little bit of coverage. I also saw announced today that, and I don't know any of the details other than what I just read on the website, but from the Las Vegas Challenge, there was a note on their media page that Jomez Productions, there's not going to be live. We've talked about that in the past.
Vegas
that we're not at Vegas. We're not going to be live. There was a question because no one really knew. Well, I should say some of us didn't know as to how the production schedule and/or plans were for like the national tour event. And I saw today that Jomez, it said they were going to be offering lead card coverage of both FPO and MPO, and that both would be next day, which leads me to think that there has to be additional hands on deck or additional editors involved. Because
I would think they'd have to have at least one person. I'm curious as to whether, and maybe we'll reach out to Jonathan at some point about whether FPO is going to be two camera coverage, one camera coverage, whether.
Yeah, good point.
If they brought on someone additional in order to do that editing, because if they're going to do next day coverage for 2 cards, that is a workload, especially if you have 2 camera coverage for both of them. So I'm curious as to hear what's going on. Obviously, we've always been a big proponent of having FPO coverage. We want to see more of it out there, and we hope that you guys enjoy watching it as well, because it's some of the most fun coverage that you can actually get out and watch at that level.
So it will be interesting. Again, that was out on the Las Vegas Challenge website. I think under a media tab. Or
they had a small. I think it was a little video, After Effects video, that showed all the different events that they're going to be at this year as well, and it more or less hit every Pro Tour and every NT event, along with the US WDGC and the USDGC.
Okay, very cool. So. Awesome. Well, so look forward to that. You'll see that out there. Real quickly, I want to send another shout out. I know I've done it a couple times, but it's worth doing again. Country Disc Golf Matt. Some of you guys know, I was talked about a little earlier, I've released the first round of coverage that I had from the 2017 Hall of Fame Classic. There was some extra bonus stuff. Simon, Yale Story, and Big Germ is all out there. I think tomorrow you're going to see what Matt had filmed. And he had showed up. I was there for all 3 rounds. After I filmed the women for 3 rounds, I got 3 rounds on the men's side. Matt came in, and he got the 2nd and 3rd round of a card, and then I also got the 2nd and 3rd round of some men's cards. So there's ultimately going to be 5 total videos that will be released, all from the Hall of Fame Classic, and I'd like to roll those out in the next 4 to 6 days. So you'll be able to get lots of coverage. So thank you to Matt.
I'm going to put this out there because I know you don't very often. Terry, if you're a Patreon supporter of Smashbox, thank you very much. But what a lot of people don't know is Terry has his own Patreon account as well. I believe it's patreon.com/thediscgolfguy. And if you don't want to be a Patreon supporter of ours, and you prefer post coverage like Jomez or CCDG, you can support Terry as well at the Disc Golf Guy at Patreon. So he does a lot of cool, fun stuff with that.
And Johnny doesn't get any of that money.
I get 0 of that cash, even though it was my idea.
Yes.
I mean, I'll pin him down and take his money at some point, but.
Yes, so that's out there. And the other cool thing, the last plug on that, every month this year, I will be giving away a portable basket to a Patreon supporter.
Seriously?
Yeah. And I've already given one away. I did a live video. It was 10 minutes. They'll all be shorter moving forward. I kind of broke down some of the rules. but every month this year, through my Patreon only,
It's like 10 more months?
11 more, technically. I mean, I did one at the end of January.
Oh, so you gave away January.
I gave away
and now
January,
you're
so
gonna do
technically, yeah.
February.
So
Okay.
there's 11 more baskets that will be given away. I've made a couple of stipulations. So last week, spoiler alert if you're one of my supporters and you haven't watched it, Nick Williams, who's actually local to Milwaukee, one of my Patreon supporters, he won the basket. It's MVP this month. Every month it's going to get changed up. He won the basket. My only stipulations are, it's a little different than how we do it here on the show. If I draw Nick Williams anytime in the next 11 months and I draw him first, he does not get the basket. I will give him a consolation disc or a secondary prize, and then I will draw a new person to win the basket. So he can't win
Makes
more
sense
than
for those big prizes.
Yeah, he can't win more than one basket in the month. However, I've also made the other stipulation, which
There's
you might like.
There's a lot of stipulations.
This is a good one, though. If my Patreon page gets to $300, what's listed as $300 on there, it's at like $122 right now. If it gets to $300, I'll give away 2 baskets a month.
Wow. I'm a Patreon supporter.
Yeah, you are, so you're eligible.
Am I, though?
I might have taken your name out.
That's what I thought.
I'd have to double check.
And that's fine. I'm good
So
with
anyway,
that.
that's all out there. Thank you. Yeah, it's I'm gonna be revamping all that as I keep talking about new cameras, new graphics, all of that stuff for my post-production action. So every month, a disc golf basket.
That's great. That's great. That's great. All right, I think we can wrap this up tonight and then go to an after show where maybe we'll do a little bit of talking about fantasy disc golf.
Yes.
And whatever else you guys want to talk to us about.
Yeah, so get your questions and other action all prepared out on the YouTube chat board, and we'll be able to follow along and interact with you there. So we're going to call it. It's been great. It was great catching up with Danamite Dana Vici. Looking forward to updates from him throughout the entire year to bring us stats and details from the PDGA site and beyond. And, of course, we want to thank Dynamic Disc and Disc Golf Answer Man's very own Robert McCall. Super great to catch up with him, and congratulations on the solid performance, his 3rd and 1st place finishes this weekend as he's creeping to that 1,000 rating and solid play all around. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, we'll catch you guys in the after show. Anything and everything goes. We'll have a giveaway, give you some stuff, and have a good time with it. That's been podcast 182. We'll see you when you step inside the Smashbox.
Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the credits. If you are interested in being listed as a producer in the SmashBoxxTV credits and supporting this and other fine podcasts, please visit patreon.com/SmashBoxxTV. Thank you to our $2 and above patrons. Your name is listed below in the
Hello, everyone, and welcome to SmashBoxxTV's podcast 182.
Yeah, I totally wrecked it, didn't I?
Yes, 182
After
show. Come on, get it together. I was just thinking, I thought about it during the
It's more
regular
fun to wreck it.
show when I spit it out, saying SmashBoxxTV's podcast, and then the number. I'm getting good with the number. But that's a mouthful to try to enunciate each and every time, and I feel like I've been doing it pretty well.
Congratulations on speaking, Terry.
Thank you.
Well done.
It's the microphone. It's all the microphone. But
Well
seriously,
done.
trying to spit that out when I'm trying to think about what may or may not be coming up next, and if we really have a plan or not, and where we're at, and what's going on. SmashBoxxTV's podcast 182. There's a lot of syllables there.
There is.
So yeah, that was just a little gentle pat on my own back.
You're
That's
almost
all.
40 years old. Your jaw and tongue work just fine.
For the most part.
Your vocal cords continue to project.
Challenged if I was under the influence of some alcohol. I would.
What are you saying?
No, I would be. That the opening would probably be the toughest part to spit out if I were. Anyway. All right, guys. Well, welcome. This is, in fact, the SmashBoxxTV after show where anything goes. We love interacting with you. If you'd like to do so, please find us on the live YouTube chat board. If you don't want to hear about rambling of things associated with golf or not, this may not be the show for you. As we said, sometimes it's golf, sometimes it's not. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about Johnny V's fantasy disc golf found on Skipace.com.
I don't get to promote my stuff nearly as much as you promote your stuff. So
mine's cooler.
Well,
maybe not. Clearly, lots of excited people, and I think that's the biggest takeaway.
I'm super pumped.
So many more people, so much more excited than myself.
Correct.
I think it's great. And clearly, hundreds, if not thousands. Can you run a quick check? I'd love to know how many people signed up today.
Signed up today. I'll say this, and
you made kind of a soft opening today.
I made a soft opening last night when I needed some people to test some the new login feature.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sent out a mass email to about 4,000 people today that had all signed up at some point last year and said, hey, we're back. Come on in. Come join. Last time I checked, and this was earlier today, as I left work, I had about 600 registered users.
Okay, I was going to guess at least 1,000, so that's probably right.
Yeah, so we might be getting close right now. I've been answering a ton of emails and Facebook requests over the past 6 hours since I've even left my office.
And so for everyone that doesn't know, Skipace.com is where you can go and get signed up for fantasy disc golf. And let's just pretend that nobody has any clue what you're talking about. So give everyone a quick overview of what it means to go out to Skipace and what they're going to find.
So when you go to Skipace.com, you're going to see it's a typical fantasy sports. Yeah, I had that in there. Typical fantasy sports type of environment where you get to pick 6 players. We have a standard salary cap of about 6,000 points. And you need to pick 6 players, 4 MPO and 2 FPO players to fill out your salary cap. So their rating is basically their salary cap. So Paul Macbeth's salary cap hit is about 1,052 right now, I believe. And Ricky's like 1,051. And then you've got these 2 alternate picks, which don't go against your salary cap, and they have to be lower than your lowest pick. And it's a little confusing right now. I need to clear that up a little bit more. But
on the men's side, at a given tournament, you would pick
4 players. So do you want me to show you a quick run
through?
Show
everybody that.
All right.
And we'll try and walk people through it if you're obviously just listening.
So so if you're listening in on Thursday or Saturday, whenever this goes out, you can kind of take a look. So what you see here is what you see when you log in. You've got the 3 options up at the top to log in if you want to use your social media account. If you had an account last year, you're going to have to recreate an account just because the way with the new being able to log in as a social media, we couldn't bring over all the old passwords. So for me, I always log in with my Google Plus account or my Google account.
Google Plus?
It's Google. And there's my account right there. And
Quick poll. I'd love to know who uses Google Plus.
They still not push it, but they still have it, but it's not really. It says G Plus. It's just kind of their standard login. So what I've done now here is I've logged into the Skipace Fantasy Disc Golf. Here you can see a list of all my leagues I'm in right now, or ones that I'm managers of, which is the Skipace Standard League, the Disc Golf Answer Man, a $20 cash league, which is kind of on the side. Reach out to me personally via messaging or something if you're interested. Pretty simple stuff. You can see what league you're currently in right here, Skipace Fantasy League. You go to picks, and you're going to see the different picks that I've made for these first 2 events. Now, because I've already made picks for those, I'm going to go to the Answer Man League here. So, pretty easy stuff. If you want to make a pick, you hit create, and you've got this list of players and your salary cap. So up here, when I pick, this is for the Las Vegas Open. If I pick Kale LaVisca at 1,036, it takes that away. So usually what I'll do is I'll go through and I'll pick the players that I think I want for the top player. So we're going to go Kale and Page. And at that point, let's go Melody Weibel. Now we've got the alternate pick, which isn't going to affect your points, but it has to be lower than Melody Weibel. So like you can see, I can't select the people above her. You can only select. Let's go Vanessa Van Dyken.
So and the purpose, just to clarify on the alternate pick is if you have Paige Pierce, who's rated 975, and Melody Weibel at 924, if one of the two of them were to withdraw at the last minute or DNF or whatever the case
Not
might,
DNF.
Okay, sorry.
Here's what I've decided. If the player doesn't finish, too bad, so sad. They were there. They put in an effort to get there. This is for people that do not show up at the last minute. People that were on the waiting list. And these lists are grabbed directly from the PDGA website.
Okay.
So they're like last year, you could pick anybody in the world. This year, we're restricting it to just people who are registered for the event. So if someone doesn't show up, we ran into last year all these issues where people like, oh, great, the guy I picked didn't show up. I'm out 120 points this week or whatever it might be. There goes my week. Well, now this year, we're going to give you an alternate pick for each person. So if one of your picks doesn't show up, you will get your default alternate pick. So if Melody doesn't show up, I get Vanessa Van Dyken.
Okay, or if Paige doesn't show
Or if
up.
Paige doesn't show up, I get Vanessa Van Dyken.
In this case, so your alternate pick for that reason has to always be lower than your lowest pick, simply because if you would go over the salary cap if it wasn't set up.
Correct.
That way.
You definitely pick someone like, if you had Paige picked, you'd pick Kat as your alternate. And that's almost not fair in that then you are getting a Paige and Kat, but not taking the penalty hit for some of the other players, like someone who picked Paige and Kat would do. Now, having only 6,000 points, I've got 3,065 points left, which averages about to 1,020 per player. So I really need to kind of take a look at who I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick one dark horse. We'll go AJ Risley. We'll go Bobby Music. And now, see, you're going to see here I have 1,032, so I can't pick anyone above Eagle. So I'm going to go with Eagle McMahon just because it works out.
1,031.
And now my alternate pick has to be less than my lowest rated player. So my lowest rated is AJ. You can see I can't pick anybody above that. I'm going to go Dustin Keegan and then save my picks. And and there you are. You're going to see that. Pretty simple stuff to make a pick. Now, one of the cool things about the Skipace Fantasy is that you can create your own league. The league I'm in is the Disc Golf Answer Man League right now. But if you want to create your own league, you've got some options here. You've got a standard, a custom, and a survivor. As of this exact minute, when we're doing this live, and it might be different by Thursday, the only one that works right now is standard. The custom league and the survivor league will be done very soon. So by Saturday, when this comes out, these might be done. And the standard league is just going to give you your default list of about 23 events, all the Pro Tour, National Tour, Major, and a couple big A-tier events. You can call it John's Test League and create the league. When you create the league, it's going to give you a sign-up code, and that's what you give to everybody else that wants to join the league. You go to League, Join League, and they can put in that sign-up code. So pretty simple stuff, actually. It's not too bad, and then you can give that out to your local club. The custom leagues we're going to get set up so that you can... I'm going to take this down off the thing. The custom leagues we're going to get set up so you can actually pick any PDGA event, not just the big events. If you want to start a league for just your local events, just your Wisconsin events, just your Illinois events, just your California events, that's all going to be available to you, hopefully within the next few days, once we get a couple of the things ironed out with the PDGA. And those events as well will be restricted to only the people who are registered. I'm going to call out a particular player. Terry, if you were going to be playing in a PDGA National Tour event in 2 weeks, what do you think's probably the very first thing you would do?
If I'm going to be playing,
if you're going to be playing in the event,
am I registered for it?
You're registered for the event.
Okay.
Okay. The very second thing you would do.
Well, in order to be registered, you would assume that they should also be current with the PDGA and then current with their rules testings.
Jeremy Coling is not a current PDGA member.
No, it's got to be rules.
No, current. You want to see?
Seriously?
Do you want to see the event schedule for
the guy that talks to his caddies that way?
I'm going to open up.
It should be put up, sign up, and shut up is what his
clearly.
There's an inside joke from. Wow.
I'm going to hit current. I'm sorry. I'm going to hit the PDGA sorted by rating is a smart way to do it. I'm sorry. He's not playing in Vegas. He is playing at the Memorial.
He's not playing in Vegas?
He's not playing in Vegas. He's skipping Vegas and going to the Memorial.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting as well. And where is he? Did they pull him from the thing in the last hour? Because he's 1,026 rated, and he is not even. He's not at the Memorial. He's not on the Memorial list either anymore.
That would be pretty funny if he got kicked off. I'm just saying, funny.
It could be because he was not. I have him. Wow,
well, but he played in, as Christy's saying, he played in the A tier.
Yep, he is not
last weekend in Thailand,
and he's not on the list anymore. He was literally a couple hours ago when I looked. He's no longer on these lists to play. There he is, at the very bottom. Jeremy Colling. The reason why, because I sorted by PDGA, they took away his PDGA rating.
Sure enough, I see it. He is listed as expired currently.
So you can see here at the bottom, Jeremy Colling, not a current PDGA member.
Time to call him out.
That's what I'm doing right now, Terry.
Well, no, I mean, I will call him out. What in the world is going on with Colling?
I don't know.
So I had a little chat on the phone yesterday even.
It was messing me all up because ultimately we pull in the PDGA and my guy asked me, he's like, so what happens if they don't have a PDGA number or a rating? I said, well, all these big events, they all have to. And he's like, okay, cool. And then Colling doesn't. And it messes everything up. So I have to go in and add him in by hand. But yeah, so you can pick anyone who's got a PDGA rating. I gave him 1,026, which is what he was at as of January. So as far as Skipace goes, we've got the Survivor League, which is more or less a one pick every week that you make, and they have to take the top 15, and you can't reuse your pick. Okay. So if you pick Paul Macbeth week 1 at Las Vegas, you're done. You can't pick him ever again. You might want to look at picking somebody else and saving Paul for a bigger event or this or that. The Custom League, like I said, you can set your own salary cap. You can set your own events, all that other fun stuff. So if you're interested in joining, just go ahead and sign up at skipace.com, and you could be good to go. If you're interested in playing in the $20 cash league that we have, reach out to me privately. I can send you that link, and you can join in. I think there's probably about 10 to 12 people right now signed up.
Okay. So there you have it. For those who just want to follow along, maybe a little more intensely, of course, we know what fantasy sports have done in so many other areas, and this is really your second go around. You had really presented the idea of doing this. Was that 10 years ago?
More,
maybe more than 10.
I think it was
12 years ago?
I think it was 2004 was the very first year.
Wow.
And I it was really funny because a couple, like yesterday, I saw Scott Reek signed up. Scott Reek, who used to be work for Dynamic Disc, now he lives somewhere in Kansas City. I forget. I don't exactly know what he's doing, but he used to own a company called Under Par Disc Golf, and he was one of the very first people to support me and give away prizes in 2004. And then I let it drop off for a few years because I just didn't feel like running it, and I had other things I wanted to do. Somebody else picked up the
domain?
The domain, not the domain.
Well, it was Play Fantasy DG.
Yeah, there was a couple
like
other options. And then they faded off. And last year I thought, you know what, it's time to do it again. So I built the website back up. And now this year I've got an actual professional web developer going in and doing it. And he's doing a fantastic job knocking it out of the park with a lot of the options. And I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks when we can display some of the really cool features that are going to be out there.
Well, I just to keep this real, I think that's a stolen keeping it real Bobby Brown terminology, which I think actually Comedy Central had first. I wrote him privately and said, "Why aren't you current with the PDJ?" All in caps for emphasis. And then I said, "We're currently trashing you on SmashBoxxTV at the moment, and we're looking for an explanation." So I do want to follow up real quick to talk about Big Germ briefly. Someone had told me that there was this big conversation a few weeks ago about how in Thailand they only paid three spots. Someone had told me that I don't know if it was directly Brian Honegger or who. I shouldn't even be throwing out the names because I got to admit I don't recall the exact details. But somebody told me that there was a payout spot created for Germ. And I should have asked him this yesterday. And I hate to even use that terminology, not created for him, but he was compensated for finishing in 4th place That is, in fact, against PDGA rules, thanks to Nate Lee from over in Australia. He pointed it out and reminded us, because, again, we couldn't read all the rules last week, that if there is a cut to a final round, that all spots that are in that final round have to be paid. There's a cut, when you cut to a final four, in this case, or if you cut to a semis where there's only 36 spots, all 36 spots of those have to be inclusive of the payout table in the first place. So that would, in theory, be breaking a rule. If you had we'll say a field of 10, let's just say you go to a tournament, you have a field of 10, and they say, you know what, for the final 9 holes, we're going to cut it to 4 people. All 4 of those people have to be getting paid, at least those 4 people. Or if you cut it to 5 or you cut it to 6, whatever, they have to be inclusive of the payout. So anyway, kind of interesting. But somebody had said that Big Germ actually won't get a goose egg and that there was some payout deemed for him, and that's what I had heard. So,
and just to clear something up, Ronald Harkey brings up a question. If you don't have a social media account, like a Facebook, a Gmail account,
a Google Plus account,
or a Google Plus account, Facebook, a Gmail, or a Twitter account, and you just want to create a username and password on Skipace, that option is there for you as well.
Okay,
you don't have to use the social media.
Yeah, the three icons prompt you, and well, they don't prompt you. The 3 icons are the most prevalent.
Yes.
But you can just create.
You can register and create a specific one just for skipace.com. I think it validates versus an email. So if your email is already out there, it'll yell at you. If it's not, then you should be good to go. So I just want everyone to know that that is an option. I know some people don't, partake in the social medias, and that's
in the socials.
And I'm okay with that.
So. Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. There'll be a lot of talk. In fact,
we're going to do Yuli's picks again this year, so I need to reach out to Yuli to get him all signed up, and we'll have a Yuli's League. If you're listening to this and you want to join the Yuli's League, the Yuli's Picks League, go ahead and the sign-up code is just ULIS, Yuli's. It's all the 4-digit ones. So go ahead and sign up and register for that. We will be doing picks I try to do them every week, about as probably consistent as we were last year, which we were pretty good. And we're going to watch as Terry fails miserably.
Or wins again.
I don't think he won last year.
Pretty
sure.
Check the stats.
Pretty sure you missed a few weeks.
Pretty sure I probably won. What we should do is entertain the idea of a sponsor to give away a weekly fantasy disc golf. It's actually more work on my head than anyone.
I was going to say,
so maybe I should shut up.
Yeah, maybe
we should have a sponsor fulfillment partner that is willing to somehow sponsor a giveaway that they would fulfill rather than myself doing it, but that they would fulfill in exchange for recognition on the show. That's something we'll throw out there. Anyway,
we'll see. We'll talk to Yuli about it.
Yeah. Yes, Birdie Boys, I would certainly use your Christian Mingle account, either that or your farmersonly.com account. Right. Either one of those would work for you.
And just so everyone's aware, the Survivor picks right now are not live. I wanted to get this out there real quick, and my web guy and I are going to talk tomorrow, and hopefully we should finish it up tomorrow as far as making your tomorrow, or worst case Thursday, for your Survivor picks. So sit tight on that. And we'll make sure that if you're hearing this in a podcast, my guess is it's already up. But for those live listeners, yes, the Survivor pick is not quite live yet, but it should be shortly. And no, I did not accept Tinder as a social media option either.
Wow.
Nor Grindr.
You need to reprogram, clearly.
I know.
There's definitely...
I'm missing some opportunities, I'm sure.
Huh. Yeah. I think a dating app instead of Tinder should be Tinker.
That's weird. I was
just throwing it out there.
I went and got my hair cut.
You want to tinker around?
I went to get my hair cut a couple days ago, and I called a Lyft, as I'm want to do lately, because I need to get about 2 to 3 miles away where I get my hair cut, and I don't feel like parking because it's under a lot of construction. So I get in the car, and this young lady, I'm talking to her. I said, "Oh, how long have you been driving?" She's like, "Oh, about 2 years." She's like, "But I'm about to quit." I'm like, "Oh, okay. Why? What do you plan on doing?" She's like, "I'm moving to Austin." I said, "Oh, cool." She's like, "I have an idea for a dating app."
Oh, geez.
And I was like, ooh. And granted, we only have a few minutes in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, really? Like a Match.com or a Tinder? She's like, well, I have something that I think they're all missing.
Mm.
And I was like, really? What do you think that is? She's like, well, the
She
PO.
shouldn't be sharing this with a random, but go on.
No, she didn't. That's the funny
Okay.
thing. She's
Okay.
like, well, and it's just funny the way she
Danced around it.
referenced the other accounts. She's like, well, like when you're on like POF or I think she even said FO, and I was thinking that's farmers only. And
Plenty of fish.
yep, and but she did say Tinder.
Mm-hmm.
And Tinder, she's like, there's just something that's like really missing out of those, and I think I have an idea. She's like, I already have some seed money. She's like, I already have a couple $100,000 in seed money because these people think I have a great idea.
Okay.
And I was like, well, that's awesome. And then she pulled up to the place where I'm getting my haircut because I really wanted to continue the conversation with her and be like, what do you have that all these others are missing? And I'm a 40-year-old married man, and I don't care. I'm just really curious.
You're interested.
But I will forever now be burdened with this curiosity of what her dating app has that others don't. And I keep thinking,
and
I'm
our
like,
app is called Curiosity.
and I keep thinking, like, what could it be? What?
Huh?
There's always ideas, but
so since so many of you know my my love for Gary Vaynerchuk, it's funny. This comes in at a perfect timing. Here's how I relate it. Just last night, and I'll admit I don't watch a ton of his stuff. He flat out tells people too, which I love. Quit watching me and go do shit, which is exactly what I try to accomplish. But anyway, there was this little clip that was on last night that I was watching from Gary Vaynerchuk, and he made a distinction because somebody, at a Q&A session was saying, I've got this idea, blah, blah, blah. And, he hears a million of those a day. But he made a very unique distinction that I think is so applicable. He said, you have a feature, you don't have an innovation. And that's where I would wonder about this woman. And that's my point is,
maybe.
Does she have a true innovation? Because she references herself in relation to other dating apps. Is she just going to have one little different feature, or is there going to be a true breakthrough innovation? Anyway, it's just bringing it full circle to how I think about, because I think about that from the media perspective, as do you all the time. What are we doing, whether it's live, whether it's post-production, whether it's podcasting, where are any of us distinguishing one from the other? And you think about all of these teams of people, from Central Coast to a Jomez to the Disc Golf Guy to Smashbox to Answer Man. Where is those those major differences? Are they innovations, or are they features? Are they how closely do we overlap? Those are all things that come to mind. I saw a release from and I feel really bad. I can't think of the team, but I saw a release of some new video from a relatively new YouTube channel with commentary, with some good graphics, with some drone previews, and I just keep thinking about all of the channels, where we all started and what we've all grown into, and where disc golf media continues to thrive and to grow. Obviously the possibilities are endless, but I'll be interested to see what we're talking about and thinking about for disc golf round coverage, how different that landscape's going to be in 5 years.
I don't know.
I want to get there now. I don't know. It'll be interesting. Yeah, for sure. And who knows? All right.
What?
I'm just going to read up on the board. Go ahead.
Local Route Productions, someone was saying. That could be it.
It might have been them. That doesn't ring a bell, actually.
Anyway, what other things do we got out there? We went through all the news. We went through all sorts of. I'm actually going to start pulling up the Patreon stuff now that we're here.
Well, I was going to, as I'm looking through, we had a number of super chatters earlier. I just want to say thank you for all of our super chatters that were in on the regular show. We appreciate that. Tired of Crap says, Smashbox is live. I live in real time, which we can appreciate. We talk about it all the time, how technology is going to get better. Our videos are going to get better. Everything's going to get smoother and continue to look better. Steve Dodge is very much on a on a mission to reduce that overall watch time. He talks about a 3-hour live sweet spot that we find with all other sporting events. You're talking about, baseball games that are that 2.5 to 3 to 3.5 hours, whatever. You're talking about football, traditionally right around that 3-hour mark.
Yeah, football's usually 3:15.
I don't know how long basketball, when it's all said and done, how much of a full-blown, televised basketball game lasts. But Steve Dodge is working really diligently to try to...
Well, he flat out said in an announcement that went out that the lead card is going to have a 25-minute buffer versus the second card.
Correct. And I think that's going to have a significant impact on keeping things flowing better for us, which is his entire intention of that, is if there is that little additional buffer, maybe it used to be 10 minutes or 15 minutes, but if it's as much as 25 this year, and we're not forced with those backups that can really make a broadcast feel like it's dragging for everyone, our cameramen, myself, yourself, everyone, I think that could again make things a little bit more enjoyable. I know in talking to Paul Macbeth not too long ago, he said something about, during all your downtimes, or, you guys could be doing this or that. And it's like, believe it or not, we don't have a ton of downtimes that are where we're just flat out killing time. Heck, our podcast lasts longer than our broadcast.
That's actually a very true statement.
All right. There's some chatter on the board as to what will UDisc is becoming required and will provide a phone to every card. Yep, we talked about that a little bit in the regular show. Ronald says that he reset his password on Fantasy Disc Golf. I didn't see the rest of that. Dad's Drunk, a very frequent fantasy player, says, best advice is to pick 6 sleepers. Don't use the entire cap. That sounds like a...
I think he's lying there.
I don't know. It sounds like a...
Here's the other thing I'll say about the Skipace stuff. This year, the points are different. Last year, you would get a point for every player that your pick beat. So if you happen to pick Paul Macbeth, he won in a field of 100 people. He got 99 points. This year, we're changing the point structure. The person who takes first place will get 250 points for MPO. For second place, like 240, 230, 220, and then it kind of spreads out a little bit. FPO, the winner will get 250 points. Second place will get 175. Then like 150 or 130. Anyway, the scale goes down. What the reason for that is we ran into a couple issues last year where some events were just way more heavily favored than others due to the sign up. Like your Vibram Open last year, MVP this year, is a full field. And maybe they cap the field at 100 players. While another event, which is a full field, has 170 players. So it would make it uneven. And when you drop the lowest 2 scores every year, right away I had an A tier or 2 that had, I think, like 50 players.
They were essentially useless.
So they were essentially useless. So this way, it's not going to matter how many people are at the event. You're going to want to pick the top players, the best players. And picking first place gives you a bonus. But obviously, it's going to be tougher because our 2 top players, 1,050 rated and 972 rated, are going to eat up a ton of your salary cap. But is that worth getting those extra points for? So that's kind of the little twist we gave it this year. I think it's going to work out a lot better.
Country Disc Golf's right when he says the only points that matter are the ones given out on whose line is it anyway. Which
those are the only points that matter.
Yes, I do love that. And I used to appreciate and love that show, and I got to say, I think I appreciate it and love it that much more now that I sometimes have to just run off and ad lib and randomly talk during whether it's a podcast or a broadcast. I think I appreciate that show that much more now in terms of the unscripted stuff. One thing that is funny is in talking to Robert a little bit earlier, thinking about the outtakes that he's had, I think Robert agrees with me, and it's such a weird quirk. that I think Robert could talk for 3 hours without literally making a mistake, but sometimes doing a canned intro or a canned piece or something that you know is going to be put together in an edited fashion, sometimes it might take you 9 takes to do that, but yet he could go for 3 hours without making a single mistake in a live capacity. It's just funny how sometimes your mind mentally goes that way.
We've answered this question before. Joshua Ruzi asks, if disc golf grows into mainstream and starts to attract the attention of big-name sports media, does that bring any issues to Smashbox and Jomez? Yeah, we're gone. We could not compete with any true television station. It's not possible. They will put in a minimum of $1 million broadcast option, and we're dropping a percentage of that. So yes, that would mean we were gone. Now, that's not to say that we couldn't somehow work our way into that particular production. Let's just make believe and say ESPN steps up and they say, oh, we need to know more about disc golf. Who are we going to bring in? It might be a Jomez, it might be a Terry, it might be myself, and work with them. But odds are, if a huge mainstream company decided they wanted to step in, we would be put in the back seat for other things.
Well, and I'll follow that up by saying I think Bobby Brown very specifically answered this in a quick question and answer session once last year, saying that if that became the case or the situation, I think you would then see if we wanted to remain relevant and still do things, you'd just find us shifting down to the next level of events. If every single major and every single national tour and pro tour were all contracted by a major media outlet, then the next question, if we wanted to continue doing what we're doing, we would then say, okay, well, is there still room and or budget and interest in going to large scale A tiers or your bigger B tiers? That would be the question. I mean,
Billy Jack O'Toole says, I think Jomez survives the production. Terry becomes a commentator and JV is gone.
Oh, I don't think so.
I disagree. I think we all lose out. Maybe Terry becomes a commentator or a production assistant or something like that. And there's always, but look at the way most sports broadcasts are pulled in. You usually have your analyst and you have a top player, a former top player. My guess is that you'd see like an Avery Jenkins get pulled in or Ken Climo or something like that. It's possible Terry comes in, but Jomez with their $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 cameras are going to be laughed off the stage when the cameras that these guys bring in are worth $1 million.
Yeah.
Total, not one particular camera. So Jomez, no, he's gone. I'm probably gone unless I'm doing some sort of behind the scenes stuff. A big, huge production like that would, I use the term, would wipe us out. But we'd be gone. And I'd be fine with that. I would, to put it frankly, I'd be 100% fine with that, in that, for me, this isn't my main source of income. I'm not worried about that. If that happens, I'm hoping I can find another way to glom on to somebody. But it's just the way life goes. The bigger fish will eat the little fish. So, and I'm not worried about it. That's how confident I am.
And clearly, I move, as Barney says, I move right into the Masters Tour. I mean, clearly.
That's true. I could give up and start going back to golf.
Yeah. I mean, no brainer there. So who knows? Again, television, probably not. Some form of internet broadcasting,
maybe,
that eventually comes along and scoops into or gets interested in disc golf. Even that, who knows? Could Jomez, could Central Coast, could Johnny and I all have some kind of consulting and or additional role within what they're doing? Maybe not. And then I keep saying, what is there, 3,500, 4,500 sanctioned tournaments that are going to take place this year? There's going to be need for coverage. There'll be need for coverage at other things that are going on. It would be great to be involved, possibly, with something that ends up going bigger, but I don't know. I'm not gonna sweat it one way or another at this point.
I'm not worried. I don't think we will see this coming a little ahead of time, and that's when I fall back on my job and fantasy disc golf. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and some people are saying it would be smart to utilize us. I mean, they may bring us on to consult with us for 6 months or a year, and then maybe cut us out.
Production, like I said, PAs, production assistants, working with the talent that talk to them about pros and cons and strengths and weaknesses. So that's, like I said, I would find a way to glom on or work in a production booth and say, oh no, because these people aren't going to know the difference between AJ Risley and Eric Oakley. They're going to need to know those type of things. So they have it.
Yeah.
But again, this is all speculation, and it's good speculation, but I don't see this affecting us anytime soon.
Yeah, not likely soon. Well, and just to drive it home, when I think about other events, sure, they may come cover we'll say the USDGC, the Pro Tour. You're still going to see people like the Next Gen have interest. You're going to still have an audience, still going to want to do what they do. The Match Play Championships, that DD's putting on this year. Events like that are still going to be very worthwhile for watching and consuming.
And if we're bigger, if ESPN or NBC or whomever is covering these big events, that's more eyeballs. That's more chance for sponsors to come in on the smaller events and maybe make our production that much better. So when we do go cover a amateur, a US ADGC or something along those lines, we could maybe get more advertising from somebody to make our production even better.
All right. Well, lots of chatter on the board. Some people saying they should keep us around. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Any Valentine's Day plans? 50 Shades Smashbox meetup. That's a solid idea.
Are we going out to dinner this year?
Maybe we should. No, I've got no plans.
I have none either. My wife's birthday was 2 or 3 days ago, and on the 11th.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday to my wife Sarah, who's a superstar. And we went out to a escape chamber and failed. We did not escape.
You got to be one of the first. I just see so many of those pictures. Usually it's by Katrina Allen, but I see so many of these escape room pictures. I don't know if I've ever seen one that wasn't a success. And mind you, I've never been in one myself. This is the first time I've been in one.
God,
I wish I had stock in them right now, because that whole thing's going to come crashing when.
I don't know if it will. I don't know if it will anytime soon.
That's what they said over at Rollerblades. All right.
And you can still rent rollerblades over at your local roller rink, because I was just there at a roller rink.
The point is, just like Jazzercise and just like hot yoga, which is going to die any day now because they're all fads, right along with your spinners. I'm not saying they're going to go away forever. I'm just saying that clearly escape rooms are hot right now.
They are.
And give me 18 months and escape rooms won't barely be a thing, I bet.
I take that bet and say that in 18 months, escape rooms will be...
Right when you're done paintballing.
Probably. Paintball still has a
thing.
It
still happens.
So here's what I'm going to say about escape rooms and this type of thing. We are turning into... All right. Let's get social. We're turning into a culture that does less. We stay home more because we can. We have Netflix at home.
Everything's handed to us.
Everything is...
I can eat a Tide Pod at home if I want.
You could have it
After
delivered.
It's delivered, yes.
You could literally have it delivered.
By hitting a button or it recognizing automatically,
so
yes.
I think you're going to start seeing different reasons for people to get together outside of their house. Because guess what? People don't want to go to movies as much because you can watch what you have in there. So there's going to be a different way for people to gather. And I think things like escape rooms or custom smaller theaters where they cater to you are going to be bigger. And I think you're going to see that over the next couple of years. Now, don't get me wrong. I think escape rooms are going to be very easy to recreate in virtual reality. But that's not going to be for a couple of years yet. So I think escape rooms, well, of course, there'll be something else, and they will be a fad at some point. I don't see it as 18 months. I think you're going to get 3, 4, 5, 6 years out of them, and then they might start to fade when something else comes up. But that's my personal social take on it, in that you will see people want to be social. People want to hang out with other people. But right now, a lot of times we're not given a reason to. I don't have to. I can stay at home and have everything delivered to me, go to work and come back. And my dream of when let's just for whatever reason say I go to a Subway, I've said this before, my dream is I don't have to talk to a single person. I have an app, I hit everything I want on my sub, I walk up, there it is, I grab it, dink, I pay for it with my phone, and I walk away. There's so much less interaction. That's what these social gatherings I think are going to be. And for whatever it's like I said, we went out for with my wife for her birthday. We literally made it to the last puzzle. And it was and I knew how to solve it too. I couldn't get into the box. So there was a small cabinet with a magnetic lock. And the magnetic lock was inside of a wine glass. I couldn't get, which was attached to the cork. I was sitting there and I couldn't get the cork out. And it didn't hit me till before that they gave you a handkerchief at some point. So the trick is, and I haven't seen this in years, which is why I didn't think of it. We only had about 3 minutes at that. It was literally the last thing. You stick the handkerchief almost all the way in, you turn it upside down, you get the cork kind of tangled in the handkerchief, and then you pull the handkerchief out, and it pulls the cork out. And it has a magnet on the end, pop it on, it dropped the thing. It was the last piece of paper we needed, and we could have walked out. I don't, like I said, we were maybe 1 or 2 minutes shy of that. I could not get it didn't hit me in time. And I was there with 10 other people, and no one knew how to get it out. We knew what we had to do. We just couldn't get there. It's a trick I haven't seen in years, but it was one of those things that just didn't happen. And I'll say this, I don't know if I even have felt great winning that particular one, because the people that work there, they give you enough help and clues if you get really stuck that it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it was fun, and I want to do another one. We did happen to do the hardest one at that particular location. So I want to go back and try a different one, a different area with whatever. But it was fun. I would highly recommend it. I think whoever, if you go there and do it, it's going to be enjoyable. So
real quickly to follow that up,
Dad's Drunk says escape rooms are here to stay, Terry. Much like drive-in theaters.
Yeah. And Cool One had said they're already a dead or dying fad in the South. I don't know exactly where you're at. But so I just quickly, I think I Googled escape room growth or something like that. And there's a site that says we've been tracking the growth of the escape room industry since 2014. I'm going to skip ahead. At the end of 2014, there were 22 escape room companies in the U.S. By 2015, there were at least 100. By the end of 2015, there were 450. Today, in mid-2016, there are over 900. By the end of quarter two, we'll skip ahead to 2017, 1,800. So in 3 years, they went from 22 escape room companies to 1,800 escape room companies.
And again, I do think it's a fad that's going to die. I'm just giving it longer than 18 months. I think you're going to see 3, 4, 5 years before that starts to fade.
Okay, so I'm not. I have no reason to rip on them.
No,
I'm
not
really trying to go there. I haven't been in one. Like I said,
they're super cheap. They're super easy. All you literally need is a space and a room. Like you need we'll say a general space. You can put up some walls. Go to your local Goodwill and pick up stuff. And I mean, they're really cheap to maintain. There was one, looked like she was like maybe in her mid-20s girl working there for 4 rooms. So it's just such a low-cost experience.
Oh, I apologize. Am I saying escape? Escape. Yes, I'm good at using X's instead of S.
Dad's Drunk. I did see the game. I went to see it in the theater when I was younger. That's a good movie.
Ray, have a good night, pal. We appreciate it. He says, time for bed. I'll catch the rest on my Patreon app. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it, Ray. Thanks for everything you're doing out there in Colorado and beyond. Ray, we'll probably see you at GBO, I'm guessing. Any other places? Or I randomly run into you in Florida, possibly? All right. So, yeah, I guess the whole point that got me started on that was again, most of my escape room pictures that I see are from Katrina Allen. She's done a ton of them, and I've just never seen an unsuccessful attempt.
And ours said almost successful because we literally got to the last puzzle. So,
all right, Ray, we'll see you in the memorial. Very cool. I've seen Austin Turner post on Facebook from escape rooms. Seems to like them. Yes.
He's usually there with.
So,
Dad's Drunk says, "Am I excited for Black Panther? I don't know if I could be more excited for a movie other than maybe The Avengers.
Ooh.
Black Panther looks phenomenal, and it's oh my god, it looks so good. It's blowing pre-sale records right now, to the point where they say, I think it's like 165 million in pre-sales already. It looks like such a good movie. All the reviews are coming out really good. Yes, it's based on superhero, but it's almost Shakespearean. It's a unique, one of its kind type action movie. So I'm very, very.
There's only one
excited.
question that matters, Johnny.
Would you like it?
Would I like it?
I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know.
What do you?
I'm gonna go with
suspect?
probably not.
Okay. Doesn't sound like
Did you ever see
it. And it's even funnier to say I don't even know. You could line up 10 previews right now. I don't know, with a thumbnail. I don't know how you do this, but anyway, you could line up 10 of them. I'd have no idea even what one is related to. What's the name?
Black Panther?
Black Panther.
I'm guessing you could take a wild guess. I'm just saying.
All right, maybe I could.
There's not a lot of there's not a lot of
all right,
black
so maybe
superheroes.
get
so
that.
I think you could maybe take a wild guess into
Okay,
which
so
one.
maybe I could. I know that a famous, I'd say not just by YouTube, but by overall household standards of YouTube. Casey Neistat, a famous YouTuber, has some kind of review or post. I didn't click on it. He gives some non-spoiler review, I think. I'm guessing he saw some kind of preview of it, and I did not click on that video. I know it's out there, so.
Yeah, as Dad's Drunk says, Ryan Coogler directed, same guy that did Creed in Fruitvale Station. Michael B. Jordan, he's crazy. It looks so good, and I'm so excited. I talked to my man date, who I go to most of these movies with, and I said, I'm good whenever you are. Just literally tell me when. I'll buy the tickets. It's my turn to buy tickets. We'll talk to the other dads and whoever wants to go. If they want to go, great. If not, then I'm going to forget about them, because I want to go within, if it opens, let's say Thursday, I want to have seen it by Monday.
Sounds like tomorrow night's your night.
I doubt it.
Ronald that says, did you ever get your hands on the DGA Mach Shift 3-in-1 basket? You said something about a possible review, or did I miss it? I did not. In fact, it's funny you say that, because I was already thinking ahead, would that be a great giveaway for the Patreon February giveaway, is a Mach Shift 3 basket. I have a call into my friends over at DGA, and would love to see if we can make something happen there. But yes, they have the 3-in-1 basket. I think we showed an ad for it about a month or two ago, and excited to see how it looks. I've heard other people give great reviews on it, but I have not physically had my hands on one. All right. Some questions on the board as to favorite bands, and Dad's Drunk asked, did you guys see any of the Oscar Best Picture movies? And I assume I didn't. I'm going to assume that, because I haven't seen too many movies at all. And I'll go ahead and say I didn't even look at who was nominated for what or won what.
Don't know who was nominated, but I don't think I've seen any of them. So I would have to look at 2018.
Yeah. Can't say that I have. I don't know if we have anything else. We didn't give our Patreon giveaway here for tonight yet. Should we do that? I do have an update.
We do have to do that.
A quick update. I know we've been talking. You've actually sent me the list. This is a legitimate challenge that I found out the hard way recently. We're going to be really close on our. There's a few people that didn't get their 2017 Patreon discs that were still part of that original cutoff.
Mm-hmm.
I need to dig deep in storage and find about 6 more discs because we're that close. And the other thing that I learned,
should have enough, because based on what we ordered,
it's pretty close. And I found some more, and then they're all in my car tonight. I also found out today, or yesterday, to ship an 8-ounce package. This will be a fun little game. To ship an 8-ounce, we have 2 people. They're going to Norway and 1 to Switzerland.
Yep.
All right. We love spreading the love around. To ship an 8-ounce package to Norway. Do you want to take a guess what that costs? Just take a guess.
$13.
Okay. How about to ship a 9-ounce package to Norway?
Probably double that, like 26.
So there is a funny cutoff, and we experience this within the U.S. in terms of shipping from that $7 to $8 to 9-ounce range, and then they've kind of evened things out for those that care about shipping stuff. Anyway, a 9-ounce package to ship to Norway came in at $23.
Wow.
So essentially to ship a disc with a little extra stuff, $23. An 8-ounce package to ship a disc to Norway, first class international mail, $13.50.
All right, so make sure they're
so
all under
1 ounce.
So we need to just make sure that that any of the discs we send, maybe we should start ordering light plastic. That'll save us some cash.
Good call. So anyway, we've got
Whatever.
a few going international. I thought that was a pretty funny distinction. For those, again, that are heavy into shipping and delivering and ordering discs and whatnot, you've seen that the new USPS rates have altered significantly since, I think, the beginning of the year. And actually, it's thrown a lot of shippers in a little tizzy by how much it's changed. So
Zero sympathy.
Yeah. So those government people. Anyway, so they're all printed. Every single label for every one of our Patreon discs are printed.
You just
And
have to find a few more discs.
I just have to find a few more discs. But really, the biggest pain is getting all the labels printed and paid for through my PayPal account. That's all done. And some of you probably even received an email saying that your stuff's going to be coming. So
Awesome.
you're going to see all those coming out soon.
Cool. Dad's Drunk says, Movie Pass, anyone? If I could see more movies, I would so sign up for Movie Pass in a heartbeat. It's like $20 a month or something, and you can see a movie a day. So, but I don't. Maybe it's $25 a month. Anyway, if I was single, I would so do that, but I'm not going to buy one for my family. All right, let's do the Patreon giveaway.
Let's do it.
So we have 164 Patreon users. I have sorted it. Let me double check that I'm hiding that particular field. I don't want anyone to see email addresses.
What?
Bam. Because that's what I sorted by today. I sorted by email address.
Wow.
So it's not in really almost any particular order. So what you're going to see here, generate 101 through 164. Number 61.
who could be anyone in the world, literally.
Luke Turnbull.
Our pal Luke. Speaking of international shipping, I think he's going to be getting some stuff going to Australia.
Is Luke in Australia?
I'd bet money on it. Not going to say I know every one of our 164 patrons, but I would put money right now that Luke is in Australia.
Let me check something.
I believe Luke had won a DGA basket as part of one of our giveaways for the Memorial a year or two ago. He already won. I don't think he's... it's been a long time if he's...
Yeah. The last time he won was back in July.
Oh, wow. And he won a competitor badge and some other stuff.
Yeah, we had Luke Hainwall win.
Yeah, Luke Hainwall, who's local to Wisconsin.
But Luke Turnbull has not won since July. So I don't feel so bad with him winning. Had he just won within the last couple of weeks, I almost would have called an audible and just redrawn. But congratulations to Luke Turnbull on your whatever we're going to give you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Patreon disc. No, because I have extras. I'm kidding. No, I've got some stuff that I'll be sending out. But yeah, that's pretty funny that just the international talk, because I'm almost positive he's from.
Well, good for him.
Okay. Very cool. Thanks for being a Smash.
You'll get it via carrier pigeon. The cheapest way we can send it.
Alexis says, I've won recently. Still greedily want to win again.
Evie Chi says, the RNG is real. It is.
Jesus, please random draw anyone but the same three guys.
Well, and so I said cool one. July was the last one. So that was our 150th episode. And we are at 180. So he has not won in 30 episodes, 32 to be exact. So it is, that's great.
All right. I don't know if we have too much else here for you guys tonight. Looks like people are are excited for all sorts of coverage. I was gonna also say like CCDG continues to put stuff out. I've got some stuff out. I think Country Disc Golf's got some stuff out. I think he mentioned earlier Local Route has some new stuff out there. So, yeah, go out there and find some good stuff on YouTube. Dad's Drunk says, Movie Pass is only $10 now. It used to be $30.
Oh, wow.
Wow. My Echo Dot just answered me to Alexis. Can you random draw? Okay, random draw a few times before the real draw.
But it's random, so like the third time could be Luke Turnbull again. I mean, I could next week. I'll do that.
I was before you did it. I was about to say next week, 3 randoms.
Next week we'll do we'll pick a number. Whether we'll do a random 1 through 5, and that'll be the number we pick for the random draw or something. We'll make sure, and I'll show you, and we'll label off the people who didn't win the first 2, and I will make sure that we do that just to please our people.
To randomize the randomize. Tired of Crap says, thanks for the show. I'll try and get in touch with James Conrad. Yeah, and just to let everyone know, Robert McCall was our backup. I mean, come on. No. We have reached out. We're going to try and get a hold of James Conrad. We're going to see if we can get him as a featured guest on the show. That's in the works. And yeah, if we can, maybe next week will work out. Maybe it won't, but that will be our attempt, is to see if we can get him on as early as next week. We kind of reached out this week. It sounds like the timing wasn't there. So if there's a way that we can get him on for next week, we'll do our best to do just that. All right, win as much as you want, unlimited wins. If Macbeth's streak at wintertime ends, who stops it? That's a solid follow-up.
I think Anthon. If you're going to see someone, maybe Philo, because Philo tends to start years hot and then tail off towards the end.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it could be a Philo, but I think if you're going to see it, it's going to be a Macbeth Anthon.
Okay, that's Eagle McMahon. I mean, it's anybody's. There's a lot of stuff. But Kevin Jones has been hot. He winning Maricopa, then went to Arizona, as we heard last week, and the the event the next weekend. He won that. So Kevin Jones is as hot as they get right now. Will Jenkins says, next week I'll be watching from Vegas. Crazy it is so close to the start of the season. Yep, I agree. Greg Barsby is another question. Is another player that could obviously bust out the win. Can Matt Dollar come on the show? I think that would make sense that we have Matt Dollar on sometime soon as well. I'd be good with that. We'll find a way to make that work. Birdie Boy says, Josh is going to crush this year. Sexton is winning it all. Okay. Tired of Crap says, I can ask Matt Dollar. Yeah, you can, or we could reach out to him or whatever. We'll find a way to get him on. I have a 3-tourney parlay on Macbeth for WTO Memorial Masters. Oh, wait a minute. Back up. We're in 2018 officially. Someone out there owes me $100 from last year. Don't make me go dig for it. Just fess up. We can talk about either a rebet or something, but someone owes me $100 from last year's bet that Macbeth wouldn't finish outside of the top 10 at any event. Terry, who was the Maricopa guy that throws the no X step? That was Graham Russell from MVP. How far does he toss? When I talked to him, he said he can throw 450. I think he said he's even reached 500. I know some people were challenging him, of course, on the YouTube comments. I've got no reason not to believe him. Did he throw that each time that weekend? No. Graham... If there's one thing I learned about Graham throughout that weekend in being around him, he's not a BSer, and B, I guess it's the same thing. I can't see him lying about that. He just wouldn't. It was odd to see him drive, just stand there and drive. Yes, that's because of his knee. Speaking, how far are we from disc? What? Disc? Can you scroll up just a tad? How far are we from disc golf gambling? Odds on disc golf tourneys would be huge.
We saw that once. There was an overseas company that did odds on, I don't remember if it was Worlds or USDGC. I think it was back in 2014 or 2015. But that's a great question. I wish I knew odds making better.
Well, here's the deal. There's a gentleman in Vegas, I know that's not a shocker, who last year almost almost jumped down my throat at one point. He was so excited to talk. He's got sheets. I mean, he is the definition of an. He had all these sheets. He was explaining to me. I don't understand all that stuff, but he was explaining to me, and he's going on and on and on. And he is so excited. He said he took this information to some people at Vegas, at some of the casinos or whatever. And I think there's just a lack of information out there for them to be able to get in on this yet. But things like UDisc, things like fantasy disc golf, things like the PDGA tracking, all of those things will lead to that potential or that becoming a reality. So I think it's just a matter of time. It'll happen at some point. We got a lot of degenerate gamblers out there and people.
So here's the thing with fantasy.
Hey, Blake, did you win your winter marksman league tonight? And how many points did you have? That's what I want to know.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Blake, answer that. One of the things that I'm debating, and I'm not exactly sure how I want to do it or if it's even legal, what's more or less called daily fantasy sports, DFS, except this would be more weekly. Having an option for people to put cash into Skipace. So you submit $20 and then you create a league, maybe a head-to-head league. So then you say, hey, I've got $20 in. Johnny's got $20 in. We want to create a 1-week league for $5, winner take all. And then I take a small cut of that, like 10%. So if it's a $10 total, I take $1 or 50 cents or whatever it might be. That's how daily fantasy works. So, and then, at the end, you can cash out at any given time. The problem with that is I don't know how legal that is.
Oh, I'm sure completely illegal.
Not exactly. I've done research. It is legal in some states. Wisconsin, actually, DFS, the daily fantasy stuff, is still a gray area.
I like that.
Always gray area is always good in that it is technically a game of skill, not a game of chance. So right now, actually, in Wisconsin in particular, where we are, there's something kind of hanging up in our state Congress, just state legislature, just waiting there about whether or not DFS will be legal for Wisconsin. It's gone through other states. Great. There are some that don't allow it at all, like Texas, I think, doesn't allow it at all. So and on top of that, that's all fine and dandy. But I grab all my info from the PDGA. The PDGA has a stipulation that their data can't be used for gambling purposes. So there's a roadblock there as well. I think this might get sorted out in a year or two, but for now, that's one of the reasons why I have not offered anything like that yet. It is in the far, far, far flung looking at it future, though. So we'll see how it goes. For now, I just want people to have fun.
I want some illegalities happening.
Dad's Drunk says, just run it through my IP. You can do anything in Florida.
Wow, I suppose. Birdie Boys Disc Golf says, I'm out of here. JVD is talking jail time.
Which is why I said I'm not doing anything like that yet.
We're not. Wink, wink.
There's no place on the site where you can submit money.
Thanks, guys. As always, it's appreciated for the work you do for our sport. Good night. Evie Cheese says, good night, buddy. Thank you very much. The devil's lettuce. All right. I think that's about all we got, guys.
I agree.
It's been fun. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. See, we had a little drop off after we had the giveaway. Shocker. But yeah, it's been fun. So for Johnny V and myself, Terry Miller, the Disc Golf Guy, that's been podcast 182 After Show. Looking forward to next week. Maybe we'll have James Conrad. If not, we'll have another suitable. Is there a thing? Do we have suitable guests and unsuitable ones? I don't know. We'll find someone great to have on the show. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week when you step inside the Smashbox.